Politicians and celebrities make deals behind closed doors, promises broken, and their income soars. Hidden agendas run the grand parade. In the circus, choose a masquerade. Believe me, I wouldn't lie. I've been given money, power, and fame to keep you in line.
What is up? We are here today to just have a conversation, not a debate, not a stressful anything. So I'm here with my friend Nick. What's up, Nick? How are you doing?
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, can't complain.
Good talk. Good talk. So
Yeah.
you had mentioned something earlier. I forgot. Well, what were we talking about?
Elon Musk's Nazi salute, alleged Nazi salute.
Okay.
So that's an
Okay.
interesting topic if you want.
I mean, it's been done. It's definitely been done. But why don't you tell people what you think?
I think it was an actual Nazi salute, but I don't think it was for any real. Not necessarily. I don't think it was necessarily for a real reason. Maybe it was just to generate buzz. Who knows? Who knows why he does things? Who knows the real reason behind it?
So, you do know that he came out and said like that he was just saying my heart goes out to everyone, right? That he said that.
Yeah, of course he would do that, but
really, would a real Nazi like not stand by?
well, maybe maybe it was all part of the show, like all part of the game, like create that ambiguity on purpose just so people would start talking about it, and he generate this whole whatever you call it uproar, and then say, oh, you guys are, then maybe gaslight people, or like, oh, you see, you guys are all just making up lies about me just for fun. It's just it might just be for fun. He might just be fucking with people.
Okay, let's just.
Oh, my heart goes out to you guys. Oh no, that's not a Nazi salute. I was just fucking with you.
Okay, but what? Okay, look. If honestly, remember, he's on the spectrum. His idea of humor is a little bit more sick than the rest of us. And I agree. I have the same type of sick sense of humor. I get off on certain things that are fun. And I kind of like, like, screw you guys. Like, who cares?
If you had that visibility, if you had his visibility, you might get bored and just do that just for the fun of it,
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's hilarious. Is it serious? I don't think there's any real Nazis anymore. Not for real. Just people who like consider themselves, because they're just like, they feel powerless and they want to cling to something. Like, no, I'm special. I'm wonderful. See, and whatever. You don't have no army. You don't have no power. I don't really care.
I don't know. I hope you're right.
But do you really care? Like, okay, let's just talk about like racism in general. Do you think it really matters if somebody is racist against you? Let's say like they're really actually not like you think they are, or you're just calling them that to shut them down. Do you think it really matters if somebody's racist? Do you think anybody like really cares?
Well, it depends on the situation, because if a cop is racist and he's got to make a decision about whether you're breaking the law or not, that might sway him one way or the other.
I mean,
exaggerate something, or he might just outright lie about something just because he hates you or she hates you. Have you seen all the evidence that dug up showing the left doing the exact same thing from Hillary to? Okay.
Tell us more. I don't know. I did not see.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that doing that gesture? Yeah. I posted. There's like all these video clips of like other people doing a similar gesture, whatever, right? People do it like when they're like, hey, everybody or whatever, but they don't wave. Oh my gosh, like, oh, wow, girl, you know, like how people do that stuff. So they clipped a bunch of them and they posted, like, everybody does it, like, stop. Like, he didn't say the full, you're supposed to do it and say, like, whatever, hail, whatever, right? If you don't do the whole
I
thing,
don't
it's
know.
not really.
Tell me, I don't know. What are you supposed to say?
I don't know. I'm not like, I don't know. I don't speak German. I don't really know the translations of what they're saying, but like, whatever. I'm sure like they would do specific gestures and then say something. Also, why would you deny it if you were? Especially if you're like,
Again, just for fun. Like, you create all this controversy and then you gaslight people and you do it just on a sort of power trip, like, haha, got you. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. And you just leave people wondering. Like you said,
okay.
you might just have a sick sense of humor, you might just be doing it for fun.
Well, I
Just
mean,
to
it is
provoke
fun.
people.
And like, if you were in his position and you're a little on the spectrum,
What spectrum
wouldn't
am I
it be
on?
whatever? Wouldn't it be kind of fun to like just
You mean
screw with
if I were on the
yeah, if
spectrum?
you were on the spectrum, you're
Okay.
in his position and you're just like, these people just talk shit no matter what I do. Let's give them something to talk about, these retards. And then you just do whatever. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point, like if no matter what you do, people are gonna twist it. Like,
Yeah.
why not just be like, F you guys? Remember when Melania wore that dress that said on the back? Because people were like talking so much smack about her and like twisting everything she said or did. And then she put on the back of her dress, I don't really care, do you? And then people were like, oh, she doesn't care. And they twisted that to mean, but she was just saying, like, back off of me. And then they're like, they twisted it again, like, oh, she doesn't care about anything and anybody, blah, blah, blah. Like everything is freaking, this side twists it to make you look bad for this side twists it to make you look bad for that. And in the middle, everybody's fighting. And then the people on top are like rejoicing because they can pass whatever policies they want to make some sort of like police state that keeps everybody under them and then with supreme unchecked power, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yes. If you are at the top, what
What
is the
happens to our
first
captive
thing?
audience?
Okay. Huh?
What happened to our captive audience of 1 or 2? The person who was chatting, who was typing in smoking.
What's
Smoke.
up, homies? Yes. So, okay. So let's just say you have, what's the first thing that people do when they get power? Let's look at it. Okay. Okay. I'll give you a good example. The first time we had someone in this country that came here from, you know how like in China, they got rid of the acupuncturists, they killed a lot of them. A lot of them fled and then they continued doing their practice in other countries and they started the whole practice in other countries. One of the things they did was as soon as they got all the, you know, the approval to do it and all that stuff, then they started making it like the first like classes of it as soon as they got it. So you have like, you know, a nice even spread of people in all the states, let's say in the US. As soon as they got their power and they got their licenses, they said, let's make it 10, 20 times harder for the next class to get their licenses. And then let's continue to raise the rates and make it harder and harder and harder and have more exams, more this, more that, because we don't want competition. We want to make it really hard for people to come in, get their license, and come and compete, right? So they pass all these things. They didn't have to go through any of that when they got their power. But the second people get power, they're like, let's screw over anyone coming up underneath us. And that's how power is, because power corrupts. Absolutely. Period. End of story. So that's what I think it is. Whenever these people get power, they pretend, they placate the people, like, oh, I'm going to make sure you get this, I'm going to make sure you get that, blah, 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 blah. But in the back, they're making deals to make sure their friends and family never have to, what is it? So nothing ever applies to them. All the stuff that we go through, it never applies to them and their family. That's all they care about. Now, some people are better or worse for the people, but in the end, they're still for themselves first, because you can't escape natural human bias. You're going to take care of yourself and your own and the people that helped you and the people you owe first. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
So, what else? You just gave up?
Hold on, no, I'm no one. I'm just words on a screen. Am I even real or just a bot? No one will ever know. You're the one on panel. Tell us your thoughts. Well, still, it's fun to have other opinions, you know. The more the merrier.
Okay. So, tell us about did you hear about the TikTok app? They banned it for a couple hours or maybe 3 days or something like that, and all the Americans got pissed off, so they went to the actual Chinese TikTok and made
Really?
it the #1 app in the App Store.
Jeez.
Because yeah, they were like so pissed. They're like, you can't take our TikTok away, because TikTok, the algorithm is really, really good, but they have trouble censoring on TikTok.
It's scary how good it is, I think. TikTok, you know, like have you ever had that? Well, are you on it?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like it was reading your mind?
Oh, it does. You know
Yeah.
that I cover the camera, because it does the flash like every couple seconds and it like reads everything. So I cover the camera. I put like a little tape over
Yeah.
everything when I'm watching it, and then it's not as bad. But if you leave it uncovered, you get what you get.
Yeah.
And I also find it interesting because there's a lot of cell phone cases you can buy that they cover the back camera, but none of them that cover the front camera. By design, they won't even make it.
Right. So what do you think is going to happen with TikTok?
They brought it back already, so it's back. But everybody says it's not like as good, and they're censoring a lot more of the stuff. And they made certain things like complete, like you get banned if you talk about it or say anything about it. We can't talk about it here because same thing. So
Censorship?
yeah, censorship. And they got really good at censoring certain things.
And who's doing the censoring?
Well, there's this guy called Ian Carroll, and he does like who owns this and who owns them and who's on the board and blah, 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 and goes all the way back. And where did the money come from and blah, 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 as far back as he can go with lots of stuff. He started with skincare products, found out that's all like criminal. It's on purpose. They're all owned by like one mega corporation that owns each other. And it's in their best interest because they also own pharmaceuticals and blah, blah, blah. So the same company sells you like the shampoo that causes hair loss. Down the aisle, the shampoo, like the prescription, whatever, that you can grow your hair back, and then like to the doctor when you're the other cancers and thyroid problems that the shampoo causes as well, you have to go to that, and you get chronic prescriptions, stuff like that, and then you keep putting the chemicals and the toxins on so that you need the prescription medications indefinitely. And it's just like a money all the way around cycle into their pockets, because their hands are in every single industry, bottom up, the entire way. So the megacorp, as we call it, they're so intertwined. It's the same board members on all of these companies. And and everything is like, if we give these people hair loss, then we can sell them this. And if we also put cancer-causing chemicals in it, then we can sell them cancer-causing treatments. And then we can have clinics that do this. And everything is like making money, like just draining the people basically of their life force to make money off of it. So he found there was like maybe 1 or 2 shampoos that weren't owned by the megacorp in the entire like Target. And then he started getting like, okay, let's go into like other things, like who owns this company, whatever. And then I think he found that like when Kennedy wanted to get rid of the CIA or something, it was run, the branch was called like Oracle or something like that, and it was run by this guy. And then after Kennedy, he made it a private company. That means it could never be investigated by the government because it's a private company, a private entity. And it's the same guy from the CIA that runs this company with the same name. And this company owned TikTok, and they said it's Chinese spyware, but they didn't stop people from using it. They said it's Chinese spyware. So it's like, basically, like, I'm telling you they're spying on you, but I'm saying it's China, but it's us. And we're, seeing what you're looking at, what you're doing. China doesn't give a crap about the people. Like, we were stupid enough to think. But it was they bought the technology to make the software, but all the servers have always been in the US, run by this company that used to be government, that is now a private corporation by the same people. So that's like how the world works. So that they're like, it's these people while they're doing it. It's those people while they're doing it. That's just how it is.
So the real threat behind TikTok is an American threat. It's a domestic thing.
Yes, it's always been. It's domestic spyware for us. They want to just, keep track.
And China's just a scapegoat.
Yes, exactly. China's always been the scapegoat. So anyway, so then when
Why can't it be both? Why can't there be two bad guys? Why can't they both be interested in our data?
I mean,
Americans now and China for later on when they take over the world.
I don't think China's going to take over the world because we have in the US have all of our money in military stuff. They actually put money in infrastructure and social programs, not just like to control people. So like we put it all into the military and like keep the population sick and under control so that we can funnel more money to the military. And then they become like a powerhouse. See, every country is like a different priority on the game board. America is only about military strategy at the expense of like siphoning all the money and energy from the people to use it for military strategy and intelligence and whatever.
Is that a good strategy, do you think?
It works until it doesn't work, because I think it's gotten to the point where the people are so sick and they're so like fed up and they've realized what's happened that now they're starting to be like, we want you to put us first. That's the whole America first stuff. We're sick and tired of you funneling all of our money over there. We're sick and tired of you funneling all your, because we have paid for infrastructure. We've paid not only to destroy countries, but then to rebuild them with the people who are in our governments that also have their hands in like the developers and stuff like that. So they're getting cuts. So it's like we destroy a company, we make money, the people in charge make money, we're still suffering. So it's like we're always getting the short end of the stick and the people on the top are just siphoning, and like they got too greedy. They got so greedy that the people are just like, we're done, we're fed up. And now with when everybody went over to the Chinese TikTok app, it was hilarious because people are asking them, is it true that you have this? There's a company, they said it was from China, that sells like really cheap, disgusting, clothes that they keep finding is laced with chemicals that causes cancer like really quickly. So it's like you get this $12 shirt or whatever, this alarm clock, but it's like laced with chemicals. You're touching it, you're getting full of stuff like that. And then people are saying we're getting cancer from. The US government does not shut down this website. It will not. So it's doing nothing to protect us. So then we're going, why are you guys doing this? Is this sweatshop labor? Why are you sending us this? And then they're like, no, that's not our company. It's not from China. And then somebody's saying they said it was based in China, but I think it's like Singapore. And then we don't know if there's sweatshops or whatever. But I think it's like, again, another one of those scapegoats. It's freaking China who's poisoning you. It's not us. And Chinese are like, we don't even have that company. I don't know what you're talking about, right? Like, we don't get that stuff. And then the people in the US are like, what is going on? Because our government is telling us that all of these things happening to the fabric is from China. And now it's coming to like, maybe they are doing it here and they're spraying the stuff on us again so that we get sick and then we need to be in the pharmaceutical industry. because they're just,
So
again,
so
trying to
bringing
like keep the population from being strong and healthy enough to uprise, and also trying to make money and siphon more money from us.
so bringing manufacturing back home wouldn't necessarily solve the problem.
Not if it's
You
our
think
own company doing our own country doing it to our own people. No.
you believe that there's actual malicious intent and they really want to hurt?
Why would they put cancer causing and hair loss causing
I always
chemicals in the shampoos
I don't
knowing that?
I always but I don't think usually I assume these things are out of negligence, not malicious intent. I
We
don't think
have gone to the Congress with multiple
just
times.
greed. It's just greed. They want to make as much money as possible,
Well,
and
that's not negligence.
corners, and they
That's
don't really
greed.
care. They just
They
don't care if
know.
people die, if it hurts people, they don't care. But I don't think they do it intentionally to hurt people. And then, I
Yes, they
don't
do. 1000%. Yes. There was a clip a couple years ago of someone in like a pharmaceutical company like board meeting, and he actually asked, and everybody laughed at him. He asked like, is there a way that we can actually make more profits and actually help people get better? And everybody laughed at him. So you have to understand, we're dealing with these people do not shop where we shop. They do not get the products that we get. They have filtered water. They have, enough money that they can go to like a fancy ranch and get their meat, and go to a organic farm and get their stuff like that. Like, they are not shopping at grocery stores. They're not going to like the restaurants. They are so separated
Yeah, but I don't
from
think they're
people.
making stuff toxic on purpose. I think they're just making it toxic because, hey, that's the cheap way to do it, and that's the way that's what you're gonna get because that's what you can afford, and we don't care. It's just negligence or
It's not negligence if you know. If
apathy.
you know it's killing
Selfishness,
people,
greed. It's just greed. I don't think
okay,
it's like,
greed, but
hey,
not
let's
negligence.
add this chemical, which we don't need to produce this product. Let's add it in just so that these people get cancer. I don't think that happens. I don't see what the incentive would be. You know,
They also make money
chickens,
off the insurance and off the
hold on.
pharmaceuticals.
The chickens. Once you get a certain level of chickens, you really don't care if they live or survive. There's always more eggs to hatch. Right. It's they don't care, but I don't think they're actively trying to kill us. Like why?
If they
They
make
need
more
us. They need us.
profit,
They
but
need us
if
to
they
buy their
know,
products. Like, why are they trying to? Do you think they're killing us off, like
I don't I don't
systematically
I don't really care. I
for the
think they're
poor?
trying to make profit off of us. And if that
Yeah, yeah,
involves
that's
killing us
that I do
off,
believe. No, no, that's what I'm saying. It's just selfishness. It's just greed. It's like, hey, who cares what we put into this shit as long as we make a profit? They're not doing it out of malice. They're just doing it out of fucking greed. They don't give a shit.
isn't greed malice?
No, no, because it's one thing. What I'm saying is they're not
If
saying, "Hey,
I
it's
tell
not gonna
you,
change." Listen, listen. I'm saying it's not gonna make a difference, to our balance sheet. But hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just put this toxic chemical in there just to kill people? I don't think that's happening. I think it's like, hey, this is a cheap way to do it. So what? A few people are gonna die, but we're not gonna get sued for it because we've got good lawyers and we'll get away with it. We make more profits this way, so fuck it, let's do it. That I think is what happens more likely, because I don't think they're actively trying to kill people off or actively trying to injure people, hurt people. I don't think so. I just don't believe that. It seems a bit far fetched, a bit
but
too.
if I tell you, look, if I tell you, okay, we have this chemical, it costs millions and millions of dollars to properly dispose of it. I can pay off for a fraction of the price these shady doctors to say that this toxic chemical is healthy and should be added to the water supply. So now we can not only not have to pay millions of dollars for properly disposing it, now we can take that same toxic chemical and sell it to the government
Yeah, okay, yeah,
as
that's
a
greed though.
healthy
That's
thing to
greed.
add to the water, and then you have fluoride.
Yeah, that's just greed. Okay, that I can buy. But, there's got to be an incentive. I don't think they'll do it with no incentive, with no added incentive. It's got to be because they're going to make more money. It's just blind greed. Like, hey, can we make more money? Okay. Does do a bunch of who gives a fuck? Who cares if people die? Who cares if people can we get away with it? Okay. We'll make more money. We can get away with it. Go for it. I think that's
Yeah,
all it is.
yeah, of course. My math teacher told us that he would work for corporations occasionally, and he would calculate okay, this car has like this part that has this percentage chance of killing people and getting sued. And with all the lawsuit projections for this part, it's estimated to be this much, but the profit is this much. So the difference is this much. Is it or is it not worth it to sell it out, knowing that like 30% of people will die and
Yeah.
sue us?
Yeah, that I believe. Those calculations are made all the time, of course. But, you know, to do it actively, I don't think. I mean, I feel like I'm just repeating myself. We're just saying the same thing over and over. But you know where I stand on that. I don't think they're actively doing it just to harm people, just for the sake of harming people.
But how is it not just for the sake of harming people if it's like, I know people are
Because
going
they're
to
making a
die?
profit. Well, no, it's different. It's different to know that something is going to be harmful and to still do it just out of self-interest, you know, just because you're greedy. That's different from doing it when there's no added incentive for you, when you're not going to benefit from it in any way, and you're just like you're just evil. You're like, let's injure, let's hurt people, let's poison people, just for fun. I don't think.
Okay, so
I
there
don't believe
is some of that going on.
there's
But
there is what's
yes,
going. Where is that going on?
in the entertainment industry. Okay, let's
How
talk
so?
about that. The entertainment industry. There was this one of the Baldwins or something. He was talking about how
The murderer?
no,
Sorry.
not that one. One of his brothers. He was talking about how the
By the way, did he
entertainment.
get away with that? Did he get away with?
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't follow it. I
That's
don't
an
care.
interesting case. We'll talk about that later because that's an interesting case. I think.
I don't know about it, so I can't really.
Well, next time then.
Don't care. Next time.
I care.
Okay.
I'll talk to someone else about it.
Okay, fine. Bruh. Anyways, so the Baldwin guy, he was talking about how, and I had the clip, but of course I deleted it, so I'm not going to go look for it. He was talking about how the entertainment industry, their highest grossing profit movies are rated G, family movies, happy movies with a good ending. Everything's happy and wonderful. They make the most money from that. Yet the most amount of films they produce are rated R. So why is it that the most amount of films they produce are rated R when they make the least amount and sometimes no profit? Sometimes they lose money, right?
Mhm.
And then it's come out like the CIA funnels money to the movie industry to put out certain narratives into the space, right? So a lot of it is okay. Let's look at all the romantic, the big time romantic movies. What are all the romantic movies teaching people? They're all teaching you the person you're with is lame and boring. Go have fun and cheat with them on somebody fun and interesting, right? It's just like it's conditioning
For
people,
women,
especially
yeah, definitely for women.
for men too. What is American Beauty? American Beauty is you have a wife and a kid, and you're fantasizing about your kid's friend, right?
Mhm.
The dad is fantasizing about the kid's friend. That's the cheerleader, right? So
Kevin Spacey.
yes. So like all of this stuff is promoting degeneracy, promoting the breakdown of the family, getting in your mind that there's no such thing as love, that everybody's going to cheat, everybody's going to lie to you. You should just do whatever makes you happy, become a narcissist, do whatever you want, because if you don't, they're out doing it anyways behind your back. That is what is promoted in Hollywood.
Okay, but that instinct or those tendencies, I think, are already there naturally.
No, they're
Right?
not. That's the
And,
thing.
well,
Common
hear me out.
isn't
Hear me out, though.
normal.
Hear me out. You know, I bring this guy up pretty much like all the time. I know, but this guy Yuri, you know, that Soviet defector I
Oh
talked
yeah,
to you
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Well, he gave this course on you know, demoralization, like demoralizing a people, you know, a population, and like their tactics, the tactics that they used during the Cold War. And one thing he said I found interesting was that they don't do things in a very forceful way necessarily. You know, they'll see what's already kind of amiss, stuff that's already kind of going in the wrong direction, and they just sort of push it further. They give it an extra push. So they take whatever corruption or whatever sort of degeneracy is already present in society, right, in the culture, and they amplify it and they push it further, right, in that direction. I think that's probably what's going on, if anything. You know, it's just like, okay, let's see what we can push further so that we further demoralize these people, we further break them up and like, you know, divide them because that's the goal, right?
Yeah, the goal is destabilize
Disinformation,
the family.
destabilization, demoralization, all that. That's their sort of goal. That's how you bring a people down. That's how you know, mess up an entire culture.
And
And it
if you
takes one
notice,
generation. That's another thing he said. It takes a generation, right? They start with
mhm,
it's like a 20-year plan. You know, they start with a generation. They start fresh with a new generation, and they follow that generation all the way through until they reach adulthood. Is there? Can I go back and read? Okay, yeah, good.
what?
I'm just going back to read the comments that I missed. Yes, Yuri Bezmenov, exactly. Thank you, Smoking Spaceman. Yeah.
So, did you notice? I don't know. Uh, let's hope you didn't. Okay. So, I was talking to people who work in like trafficking, the corn industry. We can't say the actual word corn. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. So, they were saying that after 2020, there was a huge, all at once influx of incestuous corn. So remember, all the people are stuck at home. And
Okay.
then suddenly they're pushing this out. So you have like the stuff in the heads of people, right? And it's creating these disgusting, toxic. Remember, propaganda, it's just showing you something over and over, and then you sort of saying this is normal. That's a problem with it. So if I keep showing you people cheating in 50 movies, cheating here, it's all movies. These are all scripts. Then you start to internalize it and go, cheating is normal. You
Yeah.
can't stop people from cheating. This is
Yeah.
just how life is. Whatever.
Right.
Even though if you had gone to a society where that was not in the media and everybody was not like that, you would not find that. No curse words in the freaking chat.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out what this is. Are these like are these categories or something?
I think by my other computer in the other room. Oh my gosh. It's not that it got noticed, it's that the type changed. And it was a very stark shift from like it used to be, it used to be degenerate stuff too, like schoolgirl type looking chicks or whatever, right? But it went from that degeneracy, which was already bad, to now it's the family stuff, the weirdo stuff, or the step kid, the step parent. It's all messed up now. So that what does that do to society? It just puts that idea that this is normal into your head over and over. And yes, I know there's other cultures that are already messed up. We're not talking about them. We're talking about here because it wasn't like that here. There wasn't even that many step families. It's until they started infiltrating the families, incentivizing people to break up families, giving, cash and prizes if there's no man in the home. Like women can get government assistance, men can't get that same assistance if they have, a child, by the way. So it's like very strategic. Let's do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then people come into agreement with it. So like they can show you something over and over, but if you know it's wrong and you don't come into agreement with it, you won't get affected by the propaganda. It's just too many people see something or they hear something over and over and they're like, this is normal or this was going to happen anyways. And that's the problem with society because there's so many people that are very, very easily manipulated. Do you know about the Zimbardo prison experiment? Do you remember that one? Stanford prison experiment? This was in psychology for decades. It was Philip Zimbardo made a fake jail in the basements of Stanford University. And then he recruited students to be participants. Half of them were prison guards and half of them were assigned to be prisoners. They knew this was an experiment and they knew their roles in it. What they told us was that 100% of the people who became prison guards, knowing that they're students, and those were students that didn't do anything wrong, started abusing the other students, right? This is what they said happened naturally, that they started waterboarding them, ripping their clothes off, humiliating them, making them do horrible things, kind of like the Abu Ghraib stuff, right? Remember that came out, or the Guantanamo? I don't remember. Something like that, right? There was like another prison thing. Prisoners tortured by whatever. So they said,
do you have a clip you can show? Because I have to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. Can we just pause it, or I need to go?
Just go quickly. I can talk.
All right. Sorry.
It's fine, brah. Let me put a song. Do 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 do. Oh no. I don't have my songs here. That's terrible. Let me find one of my good songs while he does his biznatch. Okay. I think I have a song that nobody listened to that really upset me. Because you guys need to listen to this. It's hilarious.
There's an alternate reality in this place. Why do I like to people please to save face? Step a little deeper into your fears. Never free, so why not live here, my dear? I can be your evil villain. Just close your eyes, and I don't know if I'm in heaven or you're in mine. Follow me, white rabbit, down the rabbit hole where time does not exist. Follow me down.
Sorry.
This is my song. Are you jealous?
Not at all.
Follow me, white rabbit, down the rabbit hole where all of our fantasies live.
Is this an AI song?
I sang this. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Definitely AI.
Hater.
No, I'm not a hater. It's AI.
It's not AI. I filmed this and I sang this. I played all the instruments.
At least write the lyrics?
Yeah, these are my lyrics.
Right, but everything else is AI.
Nothing is AI. I have multiple voices that I've trained in myself.
How many songs have you around? Like that?
Have you heard? Yeah, you did. You heard my country voice, my male country voice.
Sunsets like sapphires, everything aglow. Coyotes and foxes, they follow you home. Where rabbits and goblins and hobbits
I think the captions are a bit messed up, guys.
Yeah, they're messed up, but it was auto done.
Track of time.
Not much of that.
Sunsets like sapphires, everything aglow. Coyotes and foxes, they follow you home. Where rabbits and goblins and hobbits align. Turn through the pages and lose track of time. Track of time.
You're a fan, aren't you?
Why make music if you're not gonna be? Bruh.
Oh, that's what I've been getting wrong.
You don't like your own brand? Damn.
Not anymore.
Why not?
I think that's
Why
a
don't
good
you play a song for us?
No, I can't do that. But I think it's a good thing to kind of get sick of your own stuff. That's what pushes you to make new stuff that may be better.
I don't know, because whenever you get sick of your stuff, you get sick of the good stuff, and then you start getting all like creative, and it's like,
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the stuff I don't like.
the good stuff.
No, the bad stuff.
Okay. Anyways, so as I was saying, the Philip Zimbardo experiment, they told us that the people who were designated as the prison guards just naturally devolved into these people who were just taking advantage of the people who were prisoners, even though they knew like they didn't do anything wrong and that they're all students and blah, 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 blah. Right. And that this is an experiment. They still devolved into these, power hungry, violent, sadistic people. Right. For 10, 20 years, this is what they were pushing in psychology, that's just human nature, that we just do that we just conform to authority. There's nothing you can do about it. Right.
Okay.
Okay. So you got that one. There was another study that it was the one where like they shock people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that I knew about. Yeah.
And, and you're like, you think the person is like dead or almost like they stop responding. And they're like, the white coat guys, you need to keep doing it. And the guy's like, okay. And he keeps doing it. Right. And we were also told that almost everybody completed that, which would have killed the person if it was real voltage. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So both of these studies were freaking lies. Both of them.
Really?
Yes. They just came out like admitting it, I guess, because they found real footage of the entire studies. And they're like, these people are not doing this. And it's way more insidious. So what happened was the Philip Zimbardo guy that ran the Stanford prison experiment, there's video footage of him telling the people, these are the things you're allowed to do to the prisoners. Waterboard them, take their clothes off, sexually humiliate them, blah, 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 abuse them, make them stand on like 1 foot for hours, all these things. They were specifically given instructions that they could do this, right? And what they failed to disclose was like tons of people left and would not participate in the experiment, and only a few people remained.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So it's not 100% of people will do this when given the opportunity, right?
Yeah, but
and it's not that they came up with it themselves. They were told you're allowed to do this, and the type of people that wanted to do it stayed.
Okay, so why was that lie published?
It seems like they're trying to manipulate the people to think that everybody's more evil than they actually are.
Or maybe because it just made for a more interesting headline. Maybe it was just like, hey, how can we get people?
I don't think so, because it's like, I don't think so. I feel like it's very insidious and it's on purpose to show that people, to try to get the public to think, again, if you keep telling people the same thing, all people are evil. If someone has a chance, they'll hurt you. If someone has a chance, they'll hurt you. If someone is told to do something, they don't have a choice. They have to do it. So this also makes people feel like they have an out, or you can refer to the study when someone does something immoral and be like, well, my supervisor told me to do it, so therefore I'm not responsible. Now I have an out. So everybody in government that's told to do immoral deeds can now have I'm not responsible because my supervisor told me, right? So this protects everybody's ass that wants to do evil things in the government, especially. And then the other one, the shocking thing, they did not count the people that got up and left. So
Okay.
like there was tons of people, only 70% of the people continued to the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
The rest didn't. So that's a big chunk of people that
Yeah.
are good people and do not give a shit about authority. They do not fall to authority. So my thing is, they're trying to lie to us that yes, we have a big chunk of NPCs in the world, a big chunk of NPCs and evil people. We've always had that, but we still have good people, and we need to stop lying that they don't exist, because we need to find the good people instead of focusing on these evil people. Stop giving them freaking attention because you feed them. That's just my thing. It's like when you say, well, everybody cheats or everybody does this or whatever, you're focusing on the evil people and you're making them seem like they're the only ones that matter, when there's people who are perfectly capable of controlling themselves and not being evil. Instead of like focusing, why are these people good? Let's make more people good. Let's find out what made them good and apply that to everyone else to make society better. Why are we focusing on the bad
Could
people?
you envision though, like a world where that was entertainment? Do you think people would find that entertaining? You know, like could you think of a plot, a movie plot where everyone was just hunky dory and nice to each other, and that made for a good plot?
Remember, again, you're falling into the propaganda because
No,
they
just
show us all
no,
the
you need
negative stuff.
conflict.
It's
There has to be some kind of conflict, or something bad has
no,
to
there
happen for
doesn't
the
have to
show
be. Again, G-rated
to be
movies,
interesting.
G-rated movies make the most amount of money, and they get rewatched more than any of the other movies. So people like Mr. Rogers, whatever neighborhood or whatever it is, they like that type of stuff. It makes people feel good to watch that stuff.
Yeah, but
But
I
people
don't think
are also
entertainment.
threat detectors. So if you
I don't.
show
Yeah,
them
no,
threats,
I just don't
what?
think that. I don't think that all vice comes from entertainment. I think it's one of those.
There
It's
will
hard to tell.
always be evil people, but they always saw it. They had to see it, and then they realize, oh, this is a possibility. Just like, remember the 6-minute mile? They said it was like fake. Nobody could do that. Nobody could run that. And as soon as the first person did it and everybody saw them do it, everybody started doing it suddenly. Because now they're like, it's possible, and they feel like it's possible, so they can do it. That's what happens when you show people evil.
No, I don't think it's necessarily always in that direction. I think it's hard to tell which came first, you know, the chicken or the egg with a lot of this stuff.
But I just
It
gave you an
appeals
example where
people are curious,
it
they're
came
naturally
first.
drawn. I think people are naturally drawn a lot of people are naturally drawn to the thing that's a bit twisted, you know, a bit dark, and that's why you see so much of it in entertainment, because it's because it's different from their everyday life. That's what draws them in, like, "Oh, that doesn't happen in my life. That's a lot more interesting. What if?" And
Well,
then
now it
or
is.
and you also have you have the opposite situation where people are they're kinda twisted, and that just kind of finds its way into entertainment because the writers are twisted, because the people in certain circles are twisted, and then that's the art that they create. That's just the stuff that they come up with naturally, automatically. You know, it's not necessarily contrived for the sake of, you know, making society more twisted. People, there are twisted people. There are plenty of twisted people without entertainment. We're not. I mean, well, look back at history. Look back at history. Don't you think twisted, immoral things used to happen all the time before mass media,
Yes,
before
but
television?
whatever is the most common in the media and the people's daily lives is what is the most common. And you have, as a society, you have the ability to dictate what people see and what they come into agreement with. And
Do
if
you
you're
believe in
showing
censorship, though?
something,
Do you
huh?
believe in censorship? Do you believe in censorship? Do you think
Yes,
censorship is good?
for certain things, not against, like, I think whistleblowers should be protected way more
Okay.
than they are because they're really not. When people notice something evil, they should be allowed and safe to say it. But I do not think you should be allowed to just infiltrate the world with just a whole bunch of evil thoughts and visions and stuff like that. Like, you have to go down the line. What is this good for? What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve a safe society, a paranoid society, an evil, twisted society, a narcissistic society? Because when you show people certain things, you guide them a certain path. And you are responsible for the path you guide people, because people are 70% of people will do as they're told without question. Did you hear about the study where the people were standing up in like a waiting room whenever a bell rang, and then the person who wasn't a part of the study goes and sits down, notices everybody's doing it, and they don't know why they're doing it? They don't ask anyone. They just start doing it too whenever the bell rings.
Yeah.
So that's 70% of people.
Yeah.
Not 100%. But if you have that much influence over 70% of the population, why wouldn't you make damn sure that you're influencing them to good things?
So why don't positive things work? Like, just say no.
They do.
Do you think they do? Like, plenty of people still take drugs. I don't think the war on drugs really.
No. What you need, okay, this is what they find when you do things like, okay, for example, if you show someone a lot of movies of somebody, let's say, with a horrible things happen to them, and then they succumb to drugs or alcohol or something like that, right? But then you show that specific things happen, like they sit there and they realize, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to change. I'm going to like go to church or whatever the steps are. And then I'm going to overcome this on my own. I'm going to go out and do good. And then you see them at the end of the movie, and they have a family. They're happy. They have no relationship with drugs and alcohol, and they've overcome it. If these movies are allowed to proliferate in society, it gets repeated enough times where people go, I feel bad. Oh no, I made the bad choice. But I've seen enough times how to get out of it. I've been reinforced that I can get out of it, how to get out of it, and that it's possible to get out of it, and that I can be on the other side happy. When you show the opposite, oh no, some bad things happen. I'm hopeless. I have to do the alcohol and the drink now. Nobody will help me. Now I'm isolated. I can't do it on my own. I need somebody else to help me. Because a lot of times these moves are like, well, nobody help the person. If you don't have outside help, you can't do it on your own. When everybody can do everything on their own, because this is like a one-player game. Life is completely a one-player game. You're not supposed to be getting help from other people. It's nice when it happens, but you're supposed to do it on your own. Get yourself out of your own holes. So that's all I'm saying. When you show people hopeless stuff over and over, you make society hopeless, so that when bad things happen, they just kind of come into agreement with it. Like, oh, now I have to drink. Now my life is going to be over. Now I'm going to die alone on the street.
But I think American movies are the ones that have the happiest endings usually.
Not anymore. Not for years.
Well, there are a lot of happy endings. I think you have a lot of movies, a lot of series where in the end they get their shit together and they're okay. Like I would say maybe half or more than half. I can't think of any examples where they don't get their shit together. And like it's a sad ending.
A lot of them.
Like what? Can you think of an example?
Okay. Okay, there was a movie series that I saw years ago. I don't watch much movies. It was called like Nip Tuck or something. I want to say it was like Plastic Surgeons or something like that. It was the most depressing series ever. And it was just about like these rich doctors. So you think, oh, if I become rich and successful, I won't have any problems. And it just showed all their problems. They, did all these horrible things. People were like doing horrible things to them, and they're interacting with people doing horrible things. And it was just like the most nefarious, narcissistic types in society doing evil. And then it ended horribly and miserably, right? Then you have
well, they were doing evil things. So isn't that kind of a cautionary tale? Like,
no,
trying to teach people like don't do this because
it didn't come off as don't do it. It came off of like, this is what everybody does no matter how rich they are. They're all evil. It came off more like that. But then you have Sex in the City, which was propaganda for women to teach them you can go and get like a fancy job in the city, and then have sex with random dudes, and it's going to be so much fun, and there's never any STDs or any actual real world problems, you know, that could happen. And then you're going to have this great life at the end when you're like 45 and you're done sleeping with 400 dudes. Then you're going to get married and to like the richest dude in like the whole city. And he's going to get you like an entire apartment size closet. And you're going to have all your fancy stuff. And he's going to treat you like a queen, even though like by the time you marry him, you're like hella old and hella used up. You know, like this is the fantasy. So then a whole bunch of girls come into agreement with this and they're like, wow, I want to be like that. And you also have to remember like IQ is a bell curve. So you can't expect everybody here when most people are like here and here. So like people are watching and they're like, this is the real world. This is what I have to do. This is the goal. So then they're like, these are the steps. I have to do this. I have to start sleeping with people. This is modern life. This is not the old times. I'm not churning butter. I'm doing this now. And yeah. So they could have showed, you know, people getting married young, being able to be fertile and have kids young that are healthy, and then making it work through good times and bad times and whatever. They could have shown that, but no, they said, let's specifically show this. And the woman who wrote Sex and the City, she even came out and said, I wrote this as a cautionary tale to prevent women from making the mistakes I made. But then again, you have people from the government organizations calling magazines like female magazines. And this came out, the editor of Cosmopolitan came out after she retired and said that they would call her and say, you need to have stories like this and this and this. Basically, fantasy tales about girls going on vacation or traveling in Europe for a couple years before they settle down and sleeping with the most beautiful men all over the world and having a grand time, and then coming back and seeing their frumpy married friends and like looking down on them, and then coming with their rich European husband now after like sleeping around for like 10 years. These were the stories. They were all fake.
Right. But
all of these were fake.
But don't you think women fantasize about that anyway?
No, they didn't. Look, you do not know what to fantasize. Most people, again, we're talking about most of the population. They don't have super high IQ. They don't really think for themselves. That's only 30% of people that really think for themselves. Okay. The rest of the people, they think what they're told to think. That's just the reality. So they look at what the media tells them to think, and that's what they think. That's the end of their thought process. There's no more, why am I thinking this? There's somebody online, he has like a chart called levels of thinking. Yeah, his name is Homath. Okay. Can I find it? Where is, Anyways, I had the book. Hold on. Let me go get the book.
Yeah, that was my question. My next question was, who should be doing the censoring? Who decides what's good and evil?
Okay. All right. Where is it? Ugh. All right, I don't know if it's in here. Anyways, whatever. So basically, there's many levels of thinking that people do. Most people do not make it very high. trying to see if I could see this somewhere.
Are you talking about the pyramid of self-actualization?
It's not. It's not. It's not. That's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that one. Anyways, on the chart, there's different levels, and most people do not go beyond the middle, which is just like they only believe what they're told, what they see over and over. They don't ask questions. They're not capable of asking why. And there's certain things he had on the chart, like you can ask them and realize that they're never going to be capable of processing any more information. And there's nothing we can do about them. You can't fix it. There was one thing about like, there was one question where it goes, tell me what you, tell me, like, I think it's like, tell me, what your day would have been like yesterday if you ate peas for breakfast. Can you go through your day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell me what it would be like if you ate peas for breakfast. There's a huge percentage of people that cannot do that thought experiment.
Okay.
So they cannot even fantasize about another thing happening. They can't do it. They're incapable about it. This is most of the population. All right.
I think
So
well, I was just going to respond to
Yeah.
Spaceman. I think ideally people should be able to pick what is appropriate for their children to watch and for themselves to watch or to listen to. Ideally, that shouldn't be delegated. It shouldn't be a central power that tells you what you can and can't watch, or what you can and can't say. I think you should have the freedom to choose for yourself, ideally. Now, can
Okay.
people do that responsibly? Are people capable?
Are they capable?
Right, that's the question, so I mean, it really depends, It's like, can you leave people alone in a house? It depends. Are they 5-year-olds? Are they responsible enough? Are they mature enough to handle being alone, without starting a fire? Are we talking about adults? Are we talking about children? Right? Who are
Yeah,
we
but
talking?
again, we have to go to the levels of thinking. There are certain people who
That's a good question too.
cannot
Who enforces
progress.
it? Sorry?
Yeah, there's certain people who cannot progress in the levels of thinking, and therefore we as a society who can think in more complex ways should figure out for the better of society instead of like, oh, these people can't think. Let's just make them ruin their lives so we can use them for whatever nefarious purposes. Instead of that, just being like, we can think more complex. Let's help them, knowing that they're very literal people. I see it, therefore I'm going to do it.
It sounds like you belong to this elite class because you're.
It's not an elite class. I'm just telling you. Okay, for example, the people who said you have to do this because the government said to do this and didn't take the time to think if they wanted to do it. I'm not saying specific things were not allowed. If they wanted to do it, if they felt they needed to do it, the people who didn't take the time to think, do I really need to do this? Should I listen to this? Is this logical to me? Does this make sense for me? The people who can't think that are the ones who just blindly do it. And then they get angry and yell at people for not blindly doing other things. That's most people, unfortunately.
Okay. So how do you stop that? Who has the license to decide? Who belongs to that?
Unfortunately, you have to choose someone who has the best intentions for society to kind
Who
of guide
chooses?
society.
Yeah, but who? Who chooses that person?
This is why it's really difficult. Life is very difficult. We're supposed to be in 150 people tribes, not millions and millions of people cities. It doesn't make sense in a big city. We should have
150.
different little tribes.
What's that guy's name? There's a guy who came up with that theory. I think maybe it was an Australian, like the 150 people. I forgot his name. Do you know his name? Like you've got these different levels. You've got 5 people who are immediately around you. You're the closest people. And then you got maybe like 50, a circle of 50 people. Maybe that's the next
Mhm.
sort of ring. and it goes out until you get to 150. And I think I forgot the
And
limit.
after that, like, you don't care what happens to them.
It's like 1,500 or something. There's a really
Yeah.
small amount of people for your entire life. And it was sad because I thought, wow, that there are how many billion people on Earth, and you're never going to have any real connection with them. You're never going to meet them. You're never going to talk to them. Like, you might as well not even be on the same planet with them, because your world, your little bubble, is never going to touch their bubble. Your world is really, really small, you know, because you think there's all this potential, and you got billions of people in all these different places, but what you are going to see, what you're going to actually experience in your lifetime, is actually pretty small. Your world is always going to stay pretty small, because you're only going to make contact with, you know, how many people, how many thousand people. What's that guy's name?
Who?
The guy. It's a theory. I forgot the name of it.
I don't remember. Doesn't matter.
Well, yeah. If people know about it, then they can add their 2 cents, put their 2 cents in. Whatever.
Yeah.
You got a lot of comments here, Kat. Don't you want to reply to some of them, at least?
I mean, these are questions we can't answer. We don't know how to, because if we want good people to enforce it, oh gosh, he left.
I'll be right back. My battery's dying.
Oh no. Anyways, but if we want good people to enforce something, we still need to convince the people who are nefarious but very intelligent and powerful to let the good people enforce it. And there you go. How do you do that? We can't do that. And then if the bad people who have power and money and influence the majority of the people who go along easily with manipulation, that they should be in charge instead of the people who are good, we're screwed. There's no way you could do this. The only way you could do it is to just break up society in tiny little bubbles and have these micro bubbles police and control themselves, because it's small enough that we can see immediate cause and effect. When it's so large, you can't see immediate cause and effect.
What would keep those groups from growing and from joining up with other groups to have more power and to, I mean, you know, we would
Nothing.
go down the same path. I think inevitably we'd end up going down the same path and create larger, more complex societies, and we'd end up exactly where we ended up. You know, just by nature, we have that. It's in our DNA. We would just we like hierarchy. We gravitate towards hierarchy and towards complex societies. We would do it. You know, if we start all over again, yeah, okay, we'll start all over again, but we'll inevitably end up exactly where we wound up this time, I think. So yeah, you can be anarchist and all that, and say, yeah, you know, we were better off when we were hunters and gatherers and when we lived in small tribes and stuff, but something would sort of drive you in that direction again, you know, even if it was just competing just to be better off in the short run. You'd be like, huh, if we join forces with this tribe, we can get all the third tribe's goods, we can get all their
Yeah.
mammoth,
Obviously,
all their
like, there's
mammoth.
gonna be, so maybe then have, like, we have the separation of like the states' rights and government rights. Maybe we have like tribe rights supersedes the other ones.
Sorry,
We'll
come again?
have little communities, like, like there's states' rights and then the federal government. So federal government, what if we just make it, you can only set up laws that keep people safe and from harming or using or poisoning other
Still
people.
subjective. That's still, well, okay. Poisoning is pretty clear cut, but a lot of stuff is sort of subjective. Like, oh, I don't know, I didn't realize that was subversive. What's subversive? What do you consider subversive? Oh, I didn't realize it was subversive. It's all kind of up, you know, it's up to your personal interpretation, isn't it? You're reading?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading. So, but instead of like states is too big, So we have to do towns. Do you remember like the rural towns? They'd be like, they had like at the post office, like the little downtown
We're
city areas, but it's very
not all
small,
vampires.
walkable.
We're not all
Huh?
vampires. We're not all vampires. We haven't all been around for 200 years, Kat.
Okay,
I've only
whatever.
been around for yeah.
Okay, great. So in the small little rural towns, I like how everybody knows everybody. And because everybody knows everybody and families for generation knew each other, people would help people when somebody was in like a bad situation.
Yeah, it's
When
great
it
until
gets too
someone makes up
big,
a lie. It's great until someone, makes up a lie about you and there's a rumor it spreads and you can't live it down. Because it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, yeah, small towns
of
are great
course,
because people look out for one another, but it depends on whether your reputation is good or not. And you
don't
think
have a bad reputation.
yeah,
That's
exactly. Okay,
incentive.
yeah. Okay. But what if, like that Black Mirror episode where the girl, she was like a good person. She was a normal good person and she just ran into some bad luck and then her points started dropping. You know which one I'm talking about? The one where
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
everyone
yeah.
has a score.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that teaches you that your reputation can suffer even if you're not a bad person, just because people judge you. People don't always judge you fairly. And have you ever been to a small town and been judged unfairly? It happens.
Yeah. But okay, you have two things. You can either have like the dog eat dog city where nobody is out for you, nobody cares about you, period, and they only care about themselves, which is hyper narcissistic society. Or you can have, if you have a good reputation and you know how to play the game, you're better off. But you got to choose, and there's upsides and downsides. Like there's no perfect.
Why don't we have both and people choose where they
You
want to live?
can't.
We do. We have both. People can decide where,
But there's
especially now.
really
'Cause
no
you work,
jobs in
you
rural
can work online.
areas.
Well, yeah, but it's going. I mean, I'm optimistic. I think that we'll get more and more jobs you can do from anywhere, and people will be able to go back out to rural places and not be confined to a city just to get a job. I hope.
I mean, I hope too, but then we have AI taking, oh my God. Did you hear about like now ChatGPT can basically do anything on your computer for you?
I
It can go
imagine.
shopping for you. It can do like your work for you. And if it has a question before it does like any sort of like money activity or whatever, it will ping you and ask you, is this okay? I want to do this. Can you look it over and, agree and then allow it? It's
Hmm.
so like how many people if ChatGPT can do that, why would I hire someone to do remote work when I can just not have to pay AI?
Well, because not all work is easy to automate. Like sometimes you need a human being, even though
Not
it's remote.
not for
Like
long.
haven't you ever been in a frustrating situation with customer service because like all they
Yes.
had was that bot wanted
Yeah,
to talk
and
to an
but
actual
but
human
they
being?
have evolved. Now they have you think it's a person, but it's a bot. And they're perfectly trained to like
Like Elon
de-escalate.
Musk. Yeah, Elon Musk is actually a bot.
Elon Musk is like a little like a glitchy bot. So like that's not he's a very old glitchy model. We're talking about like the state of the art sleek, prime model. So this one you call them and like you're pissed and it's like, "Oh my gosh, I can sense that you're really stressed. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm going to make this better for you. Just
Right off,
hold on."
right away, I know that's not a human being. Right
I know,
away.
I
I'm
know, I know, I
like,
know, I know. I
who
know.
talks like that? Nobody talks like that.
I know, but for some reason even though like no human being is that chill, that smart, but like you still calm down and then you feel like stupid for calming down. You're like, fuck, I should be. But then you're like you can't yell at something that's being so nice. So then you're like conflicted. And then it solves your problem. And you're like, well, I guess I didn't need to. So maybe we're going to be in a world where we get our problems solved without screaming now because we're not talking to people. We're talking to highly trained AIs that can deal with our psychotic outbursts. Damn. And there might be a day where your great grandkids call customer service and have zero anxiety and they're not ready to ask for a manager to get what they need. This could happen. And there you go.
Or maybe they won't even need customer service because everything will just be automatic. Everything will be flawless, perfect.
Yeah, like it could be like you get a package and you're like, the package is broken, but the package had a sensor, so it knew
It's
the
all
moment
taken
it
care of.
broke. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going on that. It's like we thought we would have flying skateboards by 2015, but look at what we wound up with.
We got AI. Chat GPT.
We got those stupid scooters, like, you know, the stupid electric scooters.
Yeah,
I
that's
hated those things.
lame. I
They
hate
got rid of
those.
them in Paris, fortunately.
Yeah, this is dumb. I want the hoverboard still. I feel like we can do it. We should be able to do it. Okay, what do you think about the drones that were all over the United States? And they said other cities in the world. Do you think my conspiracy theory is they're trying to get us used to having drones up in the air so that they can have surveillance states? And they just wanted to see how people would react, like a little experiment. Like, are these people going to go to work? Are they going to be scared? Are they going to still do their things? What the stress level in the city is going to look like? Are they just going to chase these things around? Are they going to forget about them? You know what I mean? I think that's what it was.
We don't need that though. We don't need drones. We've got our phones. We've got cameras all around us. I mean, just forget it. We don't need drones for that. You've got devices all around you that are listening in on all your conversations and probably reading your facial expressions all the time.
Yeah, your phones. Yes, it's true.
Yeah. And
But
like we talked about it earlier, TikTok, the way it feels like it's reading your mind, and it might actually be,
Facebook does it more though. Facebook is insidious, and I think everybody needs to delete Facebook immediately. Facebook is such insidious trash. TikTok just wants to show you what you like and figures that out, right? And sometimes it'll throw in some propaganda, like you should hate this country, or this is the enemy now. Now this is the enemy. They do that, of course. They're like CIA derivatives, right? But Facebook is so disgustingly insidious. For example,
did you get off it?
I have the thing, I just don't log on, and I have it so like you can't search for me or
Right.
add me or whatever.
You made a lot of money on Facebook. Yeah, I heard. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, so I posted, based stuff like CIA, whatever documents that they didn't want out apparently. And then I got like all these like people that I weren't following trashing me or whatever. And then it started showing me, and they admitted it. They did an experiment without notifying anybody that they were going to put you in an experiment. And they took a percentage of people and they started showing them the most horrific, I think I told you, the horrificest things you could imagine. Beating animals, beheadings, child horrible things, like the most horrific. And none of these people you're following, none of these accounts know anyone you know. It's just feeding it to you one after the other, right? And the experiment was to see if they can make you depressed or crazy, or what are you going to do? Like, what are your posts going to turn into? From like happy to crazy to sad? Are you going to off yourself? Like, what is the outcome? And I was a part of this. I'm seeing all this stuff and I'm telling people, are you seeing this on Facebook? And they're like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. I'm seeing this stuff on Facebook. Right. And it's like one after the other. So like, I got to the point where like, I can't go on it. And people were like, I message you on Facebook. You don't answer my messages. And I'm like, I can't go on it. Like, there's something wrong with this. It's sick. And then it came out like Zuckerberg got caught or something. And he had to be, I'm sorry for whatever. An apology. I didn't get no money, no nothing from my pain and suffering. Nothing. These people don't give a crap about you. Anyways, so I do not like Facebook. So I hadn't been on it for years. Like since 2020, when I really started pissing off people, I stopped going on there. So I just went to check because we have like one of my reunion things coming up. So I have to go to the reunion Facebook group to like post something. So I'm looking at my feed and it's just like people talking stupid stuff that I know is not true. So then I start posting links proving like this is false. We've known about this for 5 years now. Why are you guys still talking about this shit? Like, we've moved on. This is all false. Here's all the articles. Here's all the freaking sources. And then Facebook starts sending me stuff like, you don't need friends. Get off the app. like just like these freaking like quotes from, again, accounts I don't follow, people I don't follow. Get off the app. You don't need to be on here. These people are not your real friends. It's better to be alone. And I'm like, this is so freaking obvious. If I was low IQ, I would be like, maybe I should not have friends and not talk to people anymore because nobody understands, blah, blah, blah. Right? But I'm here like telling my husband, like, what the hell is this shit? Like, what is this? What is this? And then he's like, if you get off of it, they win. And now I'm like,
I don't think so. Who wins if you get off of it?
because then you can't enlighten the lower level thinkers.
You get a lot more free time if you get off it. You can
I did get off of it
more wisely.
I did get off of it. I'm also in Instagram jail. They literally sent me something saying, we're only going to show your post to 2% of your audience and never to anyone new. They said that. And they send a message whenever you add me, because they don't let, well, one of my very liberal psychotic friends had a mental break and started reporting all my posts. Right?
Sorry, what? Sorry?
Reporting my posts because, yeah.
Wow.
So she's reporting my post. We got into a big fight. I blocked her. But she made sure she nuked my freaking Instagram before she left, because as women do. So anyway, so she did that. And then now whenever somebody adds me, they get a message saying, are you sure you want to be associated with this dangerous person?
No, it doesn't say that.
It does. And I posted it on my Instagram. Go look at my Instagram.
I'm not on Instagram anymore. I got off it.
Then don't
got off all of that stuff. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on. The only thing I have is Facebook, but I just use it as an old directory, like to keep in touch with people I haven't talked to for like 20 years, in case I need to. You know.
Are you sure you want to follow Khatibi?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So, and people I had on my podcast, they send me the screenshot. They're like, do you know about this? And I'm like, yeah, they don't like the truth on this app.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? So now I just use X and YouTube, like, and I'll go on TikTok, but I won't post because they'll like not show your stuff if you don't say anything that they like. It's super controlled. So I don't post, but I'll look at stuff. But I do not partake. And I also look on the Chinese app, and I'm trying to get on other countries.
What? The problem is it's useful if you're trying to build a following for a business or something. You know, it's kind of
that ship has sailed. I don't know if you get that. Like, if you do not like say what they allow you to say, they don't allow you to get enough followers or views
so how do you
to have a business. Then? You don't.
How do you compete with the people who actually play ball?
You can't.
So you die. So that's how they win.
That's how they win.
If your business requires you to grow a following, and you just say, well, forget it, I can't. That's letting them win.
Well, there's nothing we can do except create our own social media.
That's how I feel about it. You know, like, it's true. I don't play the game. I agree with that. However, like, it's a bit harder a question when your goal is to grow your following because you need to for some kind of business, right? And you depend on growing your following. These days, I think it's like pretty indispensable to be on social media for a business. You know,
for sure. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember when I was doing my soap business, selling soaps online, it was super easy to like grow that because it's a very like, has nothing to do with like anything bad. You know what I mean? So as long as the posts were pretty, Facebook, Instagram, they had no problems showing them to everyone. It was no big deal. So I didn't have any problems with that.
Okay. Well, maybe that's the business you should.
But you can't. What? No.
Keep it clean. Keep it simple.
I don't want to keep it clean.
Keep it simple. You know, make soap. Like Fight Club. A business worth its salt will stand without social media. I hope that's true.
We hope. I mean,
competition, though, the problem is you're competing against people who use it. It's like you know, like doping in sports, like someone's using the good stuff and they're reaching thousands of people, and the time it takes you with word of mouth, it takes you like ages to get to 200 people. I guess it
Yeah, yeah,
depends
yeah.
on your product. It really depends on your product. Because if it's like a niche product, really high quality, and you get to sell it for a lot of money, then yeah, you could probably do it through word of mouth. And
Yes.
you don't
Yeah.
necessarily need social media. It really depends. You know, it really
Yeah, yeah,
depends.
yeah. Like
But I hope
Steven
that's
doesn't have social media, so he doesn't he stopped doing ads years ago when they stopped working. People stopped going on Google for ads and stuff like that. So he stopped that years ago. Everything is just word of mouth. Period. There's nothing else. And he does fine. But like if he wanted to do something that was solely online that needed an online presence, then you have a problem because now you have to do all the legwork.
but
And
but yeah, sorry.
if it's a highly competitive industry, you're screwed. Because, you know, the first people are the ones that already made the money and have the money to control the industry.
Don't you think eventually there'll be a big rejection, like a you know,
No.
no, a rejection of social media?
I
Because
mean,
I
it's
used to,
gonna it's gonna become like ads. Yeah,
I
like
got
the
sick
ads
of
on the
it.
side that you don't look at.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people who just like me got sick of it. They used to use it on a daily basis, and then one day they're like, "What am I doing with my time? This is kind of dumb.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
is a
I
waste of
definitely
my time."
did that with Facebook and like Instagram. I'll go on occasionally only for like inspirational stuff. I have a nice little feed for that, like a little inspirational, you can do it. This is how to, you know, get what you want. Mindset stuff, mindset stuff. So I look at it for that and then I'm out, close it. Or sometimes there's really hilarious, inappropriate jokes, but I can't post them. I have to send it to specific people that have a sense of humor still. And that list is getting smaller.
You think so? I think people are coming back to their senses. Maybe I'm naive, but I think
Oh my gosh. I went on
the
Facebook and
whole
you have no
woke
idea.
I think the whole woke thing is kind of maybe I'm living under a rock,
Facebook
but I think it's
is
fading away.
woke as hell. The people who stayed on Facebook
I
are
think about, like, I
so
think 2 or
woke.
3 years ago, but maybe 2 or
They're
3 years ago,
still
I remember it being worse. I remember people saying some pretty
it's still
crazy
bad. It's
crazy
still
stuff.
bad.
I thought,
It's really bad.
you can't be serious. You're offended by what?
No, it's really bad. They're talking about like that and you can't even question it because if you say anything against the narrative, again, Facebook doesn't it doesn't only not show your comment because you know it does that. Everybody's algorithm has different comments
No, okay.
depending on it. So like if you're in the woke mind virus, you have the woke mind virus. The algorithm knows that. So it wants to keep you in it. So it'll only show you comments that agrees with you.
Mm.
Yeah. So if you have broken free, then it'll only show you comments that doesn't just agree with you, but makes you hate the other side and not want to associate with the other side. So then nobody comes together.
You seem to hate the other side though, Kat, so it seems to have worked
I
on you.
don't hate them. I just feel bad that they can't think for themselves. Like if you still think one of these sides is going to save you and doesn't have anything out for themselves, you're missing the plot. The plot is divide and conquer. That's how the
Yeah,
plot has been. So
yeah,
divide and conquer. Just because one side is a little bit better doesn't mean that it's not the same freaking plan every single time. We don't talk
yeah,
to each other. We dehumanize each other. So
right?
then they can easily attack whoever they want from us. So like let's say now that we're divided so concretely, they can be like, okay, we're going to attack this person because they're a liberal, and all the conservatives get happy. Instead of saying, hey, that's not right, they can say whatever they want, right? But now they're going to get happy. And then here on the liberal side, they can be like, we're going to attack this conservative. And instead of saying, hey, they should be able to say whatever they want, even if we don't agree with it, they get happy. So instead of having everybody go against the government, everybody goes against each other.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Divide and conquer, yeah. All
Yeah,
distributable.
and it's too late, and it's already happened.
But yet, why do you need 200,000 customers when 200 customers achieves your goal? I agree. But competition, depends. Again, it depends on your line of work or your product, what you're trying to do. And if you've got competitors and they get 200,000, you kind of disappear and people just automatically go to what's most visible. They
Yeah.
see, they're looking for your service or whatever. They look it up, and the first one that pops up is the one that's got the most followers, and they just go directly to that person. So you begin to fade away, you begin to disappear. But yeah, I agree, for local businesses, for small businesses, yeah.
For
You don't,
like in-person businesses, it's still gonna be
yeah, like I'm not going to
for a
consult.
while.
I'm not going to go. I don't go to Yelp or whatever, all that stuff, just to see who's a good barber in town. I just if my friend tells me, yeah, there's a good barber over there, I'll just go to that barber.
I could tell.
The old-fashioned way. Actually, I don't go to the barber shop. I do it myself. I cut my own hair. Can you tell? Yeah. Two-party
Yep.
battle.
So, anyways, what else?
Yeah, like it seems we've got all of us are off it. We've all gotten sick of it. We've all arrived at the same conclusion. Like,
I don't think they
social
have.
media is no longer fun. It's no longer exciting. It's no longer worth being on. And I think eventually there will be more and more people like us, more and more people who are like, yeah, why?
You are so naive.
I don't think so.
You are. Every day another kid is born who wants to like make it big on the Instagrams or the YouTube
Yeah.
or
But then
whatever.
they'll grow out of it. It's like
They
a bunch of
don't.
stuff, like K-pop. They like it when they're 19 or 20, and then they grow out of it. I hope people
No.
who listen to K-pop now won't be listening to K-pop when they're my age. Like you liked NSYNC or something probably when you were 20.
I liked one song, Bye Bye Bye, because it was hilarious to break up with someone and then do the song.
Did you ever
And
do that?
you had to dance. Yes, I did.
You would. That's good. Okay. Man, cold-blooded.
Apparently, that was not nice.
Number one gangster rapper in the world, Dream.
Yeah. So I do think a lot of people are not into the rap anymore now that it's coming out that all of it was
Into
contrived.
the rap.
The rap thing.
Oh?
Yeah, because it was all contrived. It was all gay rappers trying to like be and push anti-women stuff and
Really?
and like
I
generous.
didn't.
Yes.
That
Yeah, the
totally.
Diddy thing. It came out like all the big time rappers were all like together.
Was this explicit in the lyrics? Did they ever say like, "Hey"?
There was some
Or
like
ended on?
Biggie lyrics that, oh my gosh, I don't want to. I don't think I can repeat it online or
What
say
is
it.
the parable? What's the parable of the fisherman? Do you know it, Kat?
No, tell us the parable of the fisherman.
Is it like, give a man a
Teach a
fish?
man to fish and
Right, I know that one. Is that
yeah.
it?
Is that it? I don't know.
Give a man a fish, you feed him for one day. Teach a man how to fish, you feed him forever.
Or is it the
Or for the
one
rest of his life,
where
in this case.
the guy goes and sees this man was fishing and says, if you fish more, or you could get a boat and then you can fish more and blah 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 blah, and then you'll be really wealthy. And then he's like, why would I do that? I fish for what
Oh,
I
yeah,
need, and
yeah,
then I
yeah,
spend the rest of the day with my family.
yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah, except it's a little more complicated these days because then the corporation will buy your town and buy your water source, and
Yes,
then
that one.
you can't just enjoy the sunshine. That one.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. They'll privatize your water supply. They'll privatize your entire everything. So like you won't be able to just chill out on your boat and fish.
Yeah.
These
One of
days,
the things that Americans
corporations
learned.
chill out.
Yeah.
Sorry?
One of the things that Americans learned on the Chinese TikTok was that in China, nobody's homeless. There's like 0.18%, something like that. Like it's almost
And,
nothing, less than a percent.
And don't think it's because they have a good safety net. Don't think it's because they're a communist country and they look out
No, no,
for
no, no.
you.
This is what they said.
I lived there and I
I
talked to
know, I
people and they
know.
said, no, I got to look out. You know, I need to take care of my grandparents. I need to take care of my parents because the government won't do it. I need to make sure that they're
Yes,
looked
yes.
after.
But you know, this is what they told us. They said there's no like yearly, monthly taxes on properties. Once you own the property, you own it free and clear, no taxes, no nothing for 70 years. And then for a small fee, your family or you can renew that for another 70 years. So, unlike us who are paying basically more than what rent should be a month in taxes and insurance, it's ridiculously high. They're locked in. So if they lose their job, they have a place to live. They might not be able to get water or whatever, but they're not on the streets. I'm not saying it's perfect, but at least they're not on the streets.
That's insane. Like the
What?
whole having to, I mean, you buy a house and you have to keep paying taxes on it. And if what happens if you don't pay your taxes, your
You
property
lose
tax,
the house.
you lose the
That's it.
house. So you
Yeah.
do you ever really own it if that's the way it
No,
works?
you don't. You'll own nothing and be happy. It's already
You're
here.
still technically renting it from the government because if you know, it's
Hmm.
like, oh, didn't make your payment, it's ours now. Except what about the
Basically.
homestead law? The homestead law in Florida. They can't take it away from you in Florida, can they?
Yes, they can. If you
What did
don't
this
pay the taxes. Yeah.
mainstream content was only for an agenda? It sounds good, but that's all.
I
And
mean, yeah, like
how long that's been around? Do you know the whole history of that? Why we have to pay
um
property tax?
it was a pretty recent thing. I think it was supposed to be to like a temporary. It always starts off as this is a temporary thing because
Oh,
we're
this
going
is
to add
an emergency. It's
infrastructure.
just because it's an emergency. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just we're gonna make this railroad real quick, and then we're gonna take it back as soon as we're done. But they never take it back, and then they started increasing it.
Hmm. Do you know what that was? Do you know what
I don't know
whatever
exactly.
it was?
No,
Income tax hasn't always been a
no.
fact.
That was also we need to go to war. After we're done, we'll remove
Yeah.
it, and that never went away either. Basically. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I like that in China, you can at least have a house. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. We're not going to give you everything for free, but you paid for that house. You should get to live there. And maybe you can't afford the water if you're not on well water. Maybe you can't afford the electricity, whatever. If you don't have your own power plant or something. But if it's your house, at least you can maybe install well water. Maybe you can get what's it called? A generator or something like that for a few things. And you don't have to be completely, you know, like screwed.
Why does that apply to houses, to property? Could you imagine applying that to everything? You know, like everything you ever bought.
It is applied to everything you ever
Because you
bought.
pay sales tax when you buy it. Anything you buy, you pay taxes on it, right? You pay like what, 7% in Florida, right? And
8,
imagine
7.
having to do that for everything you ever bought, continuing to have to pay taxes on
You
it for
do.
for as long as you have it. You
And
don't.
they
No.
want to they want
But
they
that's
want to do that with everything, like
products,
video games. It's going
with
to be a
consumer
monthly
goods. I mean,
fee.
like if you buy a computer, you pay taxes once and that's it. You don't have to keep paying taxes on it, right? But a house, you pay taxes when you buy it, and then you continue to pay taxes forever. And if you don't pay taxes, you lose it. How did they get away with that one? Am
The
I
same way
missing?
they get away with everything. It's like it's a temporary thing. It's just for now. And then they propagandize people. We have to do this. Our lives are in jeopardy. If not, then so and so is going to come and destroy us all. Or if we don't build this railroad, right now, we're all going to starve to death. Whatever bullshit that they can make us believe. And then people get scared. That's the worst thing. If you scare people, 70% of the people stop thinking. Yas. Yas, queen. The other one was cars. There's a 1% tax on a car only when you buy it. You do not have to continue paying your title, your tag, your this, your that, you know how like you have to renew the title, the tag, the inspection. There's none of that over there. You pay once when you get the car, 1% tax
Where?
in China.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then for the rest, that's your car. They can't take it from you. You don't need to get like anything. I guess there's like some sort of like blanket insurance for everybody. So you don't have to get like extra stuff. And like, that's it. Like they don't have to worry about that, which is crazy. And also they have public transportation. So like, you don't even need the car. In most areas, you don't need a car.
Works. And it actually works, and they don't have strikes. And yeah,
And they
you can
don't have people getting burned to death. Like in New York, everybody's being lit on fire in the subways.
What?
Oh my gosh. You don't want to. You can look on X. You can look it up. They are lighting people on fire. People are burning to death, and people are just standing there videotaping it, watching it now. That's where we're at here.
No, I haven't seen that. Persons burned. Let's see, burning in subway station. New York subway women set on fire a month ago.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe I did see this.
Anyways, so that doesn't really happen over there. I mean, there's other things, not in China, but like I know in Korea and Japan, there's still like crimes against women, a little fondling on the bus or whatever. But it's at least you're not getting lit on fire. I mean, a win is a win.
Jeez.
So yeah, the future's looking bright.
Do you think we have bigger problems today than our parents had when they were
Oh
our
my
age?
gosh, yes. I'm sure like it was like the worst thing that happened to you is always the worst thing that ever happened to you, but never in history in the United States. I think even like in the Great Depression, they said like the cost of living compared to income, average income, and whatever, and the homelessness ratios, it's worse now than the Great Depression. And the actual depression rates have never been worse. So this is actually statistically the worst time to be in America in history. But I think we've reached rock bottom as far as we're going to go. Like, I don't think it's going to devolve anymore. I think we're going to have to rebuild. And you heard, like, I think I told you, Trump is asking Saudi Arabia to give us a bunch of money to rebuild infrastructure in America. Because remember how like we would give billions of dollars to Ukraine, Saudi Arabia, this country, you know, like for alliances and just pay them to do what we want. Now Trump is going, give us money to fix some of our shit. And these countries are doing it. They're like working with him. Like, okay, whatever. And
You know,
maybe we can get some rails in, some freaking transportation. I don't want to drive no more. I want like, I want to change the whole structure of the cities. I want it to be like you can have your own business on the first floor, and then second, third floor, you live. And we have like areas where it's zoned like that, because the zoning is the number one problem we have with this country. Because if you want to start a little business, you can only go to these tiny little designated areas, and these people charge you up the balls for like ridiculous amounts of rent and red tape and regulations, and it's not needed, and it's not making the public safer. Like it's sold as we're trying to make you safer, blah blah blah, but none of the things that make you safer are in any of the regulations. It's all fines, pay this for freaking nothing. Like, my husband has to pay tons of money for the city where his business is located, and they don't inspect, they don't check anything. They don't really give a crap. It's all just give us the money, give us all the money. It's just extortion. That's all it is.
Yeah, there you go, extortion. That's what I was gonna say. Fuck, what, there was something else I wanted to say. What were you talking about just now before that? Oh no, I was gonna ask you about it seems unrelated, but we were talking about homelessness, and
Yeah.
this is the worst time to live in the US and all.
Mhm.
Do you I missed how the fires in LA or, Southern California were started. Was it just homeless
Um,
people starting fires, or like did that
no,
start a rumor?
they found random arsonists. We don't know their motivation, but it was an incredibly windy time period, and there were arsonists, and it was just like too many things at once. It could have been like a terrorist cell. We don't know.
It seems like it, because what are the chances? All those different places
Yeah.
caught
But
started.
but yeah, for sure,
The
but
same time. It
definitely
was organized. It was clearly organized.
it
Like
was
it's
definitely organized, but it could also be like copycats, because whenever like a school something happens, there's copycats for a couple months. So until like it gets out of people's heads again, which is why when you show stuff on TV, you should be responsible for the copycats, the people who mimic the stuff that you just introduced into their frame of reference. Once they have that,
I don't know, Kat. I don't know. You can't just
I don't know.
if that's the only way you're gonna keep people
Why can't we
moral.
do no,
eh,
why can't we do stuff like I used to? Like
No.
when news wasn't sensationalized, it was the facts. There
Maybe I'm
was
idealistic, but I think you should live. I mean, I would want to live in a society where people could be exposed to that kind of stuff and still behave morally and obey the law and not just copy whatever they see on TV, you know?
well, what do you think?
I never bought that. Oh, it's because he saw it in a video game. That's why he shot his brother, or because he
Well,
saw
you
it on
can't say certain things.
television.
Okay. Well, the thing with that is
I see people
one
doing a lot of bad stuff in movies and in series,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
I'm not
obviously,
gonna copy
obviously.
them.
But you have to again look at the chart. How many people can think for themselves? How many people are very easily manipulated? They're in the same society. There's more of these people than those people. We need to protect everybody. You can say what happened without sensationalizing it and making it interesting, making that person famous. Like you don't have to make the person who did the horrible crime famous. You can make it illegal to say their name, details about them, blah, blah, blah. And then if you study, let's say, psychology or criminality, they can have special information just for those people to know about it, not give it to the whole freaking public. Not make it so wonderful that you have these crazy skanks sending criminals, serial killers, freaking love letters. Like, we don't need that. Say the news, but do not make it fun and interesting and entertaining. Just the facts. Remember when news was just the facts, like Walter Cronkite? That was a good time. It was
Rich,
way better.
rich couple water supply and colonization for the fire.
What?
Adam, some blame the rich couple water supply and
Yes, there was a wealthy couple. I think they own most of the water in California, and I think they direct it to like I think they have crops or something. The people who run the almond whatever industry, because like that disgusting almond milk that's freaking hella toxic. You know how them hippies love that. So they have billions of almond trees that take tons and tons of water. And then these people buy the rights to the water and just funnel it to their little almond plants, which immediately suck up all the water and drains the water supply. It's big, but it's just like, again, greed, money, mismanagement, blah, 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 blah.
yeah, never mind the fact they're right by an ocean. And I know there were reasons why they couldn't use the ocean water, but I mean, it was an emergency. Like, yeah, you would have damaged the soil and it would have wreaked havoc on farmland
Well,
and all, but it would have
yeah,
fire
it
out
would
and
have been bad.
prevented who knows how millions and millions of dollars worth of property damage. And now all these people are homeless, or a lot of people who didn't have homeowners insurance or SOL. So why didn't they use more ocean water?
Well, there was plans. They were trying to push them to have desalinization plants, like I think they do in Dubai, so that they can
In
set those
Morocco,
up.
they've got
Yeah,
Morocco.
lots of places.
That's how they're getting by. It's gotten to the point where I think that's the only way they can get by. They rely on it, which is scary, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, got an ocean. It's good. But what I'm concerned about is that why were they so adamant to not do that? It seems like conspiracy. They're trying to clear that area out, make it as uninhabitable, unappealing as humanly possible. It's a great piece of land, right? And if they want to restructure it, redo things, revamp it to like their, 15-minute cities, their smart city dreams, they got to get these people out.
I don't know, Kat.
Well, the other thing was, why did everybody lose their insurance right before this happened? And the same thing happened in Maui before the Maui fires. The same thing happened in, what is it, the Carolinas or whatever, when they had the floods in mountainous areas. Okay. So that happened. So like these things, it seems very strategery afoot.
Whoa.
You do
1
not
different
cancel.
gallon of water to produce?
Yes. So it's not freaking worth it to have almond water.
Yeah, that's what I said. Why doesn't a coastal area use seawater for fire suppression systems? Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, the explanation they gave was, oh, because it'll wreak havoc on the farmland. It'll mess up the soil permanently.
I
or something.
mean,
I don't buy
salt
that.
the earth is a thing. It will make it so like most of the stuff, the crops that they grow now won't be able to grow. They'd have to get other crops.
Yeah, well, maybe fire was better than that for the actual farmland, but where people lived, they could have dumped it on houses. You know, what are you gonna do? You like got to
Yeah, I
build
mean, they could have and said,
with
well,
residential
people,
areas. They should definitely have done it in residential areas. They could have done it, you know, where people actually lived, kept certain house, a few more houses from catching fire. You know,
damn.
but whatever. I don't know. I don't know enough about the story to know like to say to criticize anyone.
Yeah,
But
I
it is
mean,
one more thing to add to the list of what the fuck? What? Like this decade has been like that so far, you know, just one thing after the other.
well, I mean, to be fair, we are more informed than any other generation about more things, and that's not good for our mental health because none of these things do we have control over. So the more negative things that you have no control over, the more anxiety, the more depression, the more hopelessness, the more addiction, the more all these dopamine addictions to like calm the nervous system happen. So if I keep showing you like, oh, this is on fire, this happened, they're canceling this, whatever, and you're like, I'm poor, I can't afford to move out of the country. I'm kind of stuck here. I have a job here. I have elderly parents. I have this. I have that. I've got kids in college, whatever it is that's keeping you here. I just don't have the funds. Then you're just overwhelmed and you can't do anything about it.
Do you
And
think
when you can't do anything about it,
but do you think the media is convincing
purpose,
people that things are better or that things are worse? Because I think they're
things
convinced
are worse.
things are better in some respects
No,
than they are.
in
Because you just said this is the worst time. No,
nowhere.
you're contradicting yourself because you just said a while ago that this is the worst time to be in the States because you know it's worse than the Depression.
Yeah.
Well, but that's not the story you read. That's not the story you see on social media or in the media in general. You never see, oh, you know, times are really hard now. You know, people unemployment is whatever. That's not the story that I read or that I hear. It's always like, yeah, things are great.
Where are you?
Sorry,
But where are you?
no, just in the news. Like I never heard anyone saying, oh, times are tough. You know, like homelessness is a bigger problem now, and the economy is really.
They don't say that. They use the negative things to turn people against each other. Oh, these liberals they love homelessness. Oh, these conservatives, they love, I don't know, whatever. They want to blame something over here. It's just
But
like a back and forth.
if you were to turn everything off, to just turn off all the screens, right? Turn off even your television and just live the way people lived 100 years ago, what would your perspective be? Like, how would it change? Would you think that these are pretty good times to be alive, to be living where you're
No.
living, or do you think you'd be like, oh, things are actually a lot worse than I thought? This is pretty bad.
Without social media, just like
Without
knowing what I
any media,
know.
without any outside, like only being exposed to what's immediately around you, right? Just your
Okay.
immediate surroundings.
Okay. Just my friends and
Yeah, how
family.
do you think your perspective would change of how the times are going right
Yeah.
now?
So I would say I would still not be good. I wouldn't care about what's going on in the world. I wouldn't know what the hell money we've shipped here, what the hell program we have here. I wouldn't know about the homelessness because we don't have that here. But what I would be upset is the food. Everybody I know is incredibly ill with strange illnesses, and everybody I know gets incredibly ill when they eat any food now. So like there's something poisoning us. There's something poisoning the food that every time people eat, they all have stomach pains. Everybody I know is on like
Do you,
50 medications.
do you think cancer's on the rise too?
Yes, everything is on the rise. People are so incredibly sick and they look swollen. They look like haggard, you know what I mean? Like they're going through, everybody's puffy, inflamed, everybody has pains, everybody has massive bloating. Like you look at people's bodies, even like the people who are very thin, they have very swollen abdomens after they eat. I'm not saying this to like pick on anybody. There's something wrong with the food. I'm talking about people who are painfully picking the food as safe as possible, the best they can because they don't have lots of money. And then I'm talking about like my friend saying they increased the homeowner's insurance 3 times the price. I can't afford that, but I can't afford to move out because they want first, last deposit, and it's 10 times more than I have to even pay for this. So like now I'm in a screwed up situation. Why is it going up so much? Why is it allowed to go up 300% a year? There should be some sort of a cap, right? And then they're like saying inflation is this much, but I'm losing money and at work because people don't have money to buy this or whatever, or they're trying to give us pay
Well,
cuts instead of pay
not to
raises.
mention you don't get it. Not to mention you don't get a raise for like a decade
Yes.
at a time.
Oh yes. There
So
are no
that
raises.
translates to a pay cut every year. It's the
Yes.
3% inflation with no raise. And then compound that over a decade. Because how often do you get a raise these days?
You don't. It's very rare. A few people get it, but it's such tiny little increments. Like you get like if you're the top player, you'll get a 3%, but everybody else gets a 1%. It's like, what are you talking about? And then we have a lot of people who are starting their own businesses, and then they're saying they're charging all these extra fees. All these governments are like city governments are asking for stuff they never asked for before. They're making it more difficult. It seems like they're trying to put people out of business as much by just in like taxes and insurancing people to death. Oh, health insurance skyrocketing. Now, most of my friends who could afford insurance before cannot afford healthcare insurance. People who worked for companies that were providing healthcare, now they have to charge instead of the company paying everything, you have to pay a big percentage, and people can't do it anymore. Even though like most of it's covered by the company, they can't do it. So it's like really weird where people are like, now I have people who they have really good jobs, highly educated, good family people, and they're like, I can't go to a dentist to like get my teeth fixed. I'm gonna have to like go save up and fly to Mexico to get like whatever, they have a cavity or something to get it done because they can't afford it here. It's so ridiculously expensive. And the small businesses are like, my rent's increasing exponentially, so I have to raise my rates so that I can afford to live my same standard of living. And you have the people that do like the hair and stuff, and they're complaining online that they've lost almost all of their clients because they need to keep raising rates to pay for rent and their homes and their style of like life. And then they go, and then the rest of people are like, that's hair. I guess I'll do it myself. And now they're like, crap, now I got no income, and like people are panicking. So that's what I see in my day-to-day, like personal life, not on television. This is just like talking to people. And I'm like, I'm okay, but like I still see everybody's really, really having a bad time, and I should be better. Like, I know I should be better. But like, because of all the taxes and insurance and the threats of everything, we're not better. Like, we should be getting a little bit better. Like, you should be every year getting a little bit better, a little more secure as you get older so that you can retire. And I don't see people being able to retire too. I see people going,
I see people.
I'm saving this much.
I
Huh?
see people moving back in with their parents. Is what I see.
Yes. I see
What about
people
you?
moving back. Yes, I see people moving back in with their parents. I see people who their parents had to like leverage everything that they had saved for retirement to give the kids to help them pay off student loans so that they can actually make a profit after wasting all that debt. And now the parents have nothing and the kids barely have anything. And the kids are having to take care of the parents. And it's a mess. So, yeah, I mean, of course, I also have friends that are incredibly blessed and wealthy. They are also criminals. Let's be honest. It's Miami.
Mm.
But, player gonna play.
What about people who make their living legally? Do you know anyone who's doing really well? Who earns
Like,
a
honestly?
Yeah.
No.
Not
I mean,
Miami.
wouldn't that be nice?
Well, you told me about a bunch of influencers who moved there recently, who were changing the city, and like part of the reason why it was becoming so expensive was because there were people coming from other states who could afford.
Yes. But the thing with those people, their parents are incredibly wealthy, multi-generational wealth. So they came with their wealth. They're not coming here and doing anything. You know what I mean? They're just spending their money. What? Are
I
you
was just
frozen?
reading. I was reading Smoking Spaceman.
Yeah.
Stop trying to dull the suffering of life by making it comfortable. Life isn't about comfort and convenience. That which is best for you is hard to obtain. What do you think, Kat?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. Honest income.
Earning stuff is good, yeah. I believe earning stuff is good. Don't you think? Like, you should earn stuff? It feels good to earn stuff? No? Is it possible, you think? Or is
To
it
feel
just
good earning stuff? I've never felt good when I earned stuff. I don't know. I mean,
you like just being handed things, just having things given to you?
no, it's just like I don't like either way. I wish we could just live on an island and fish for food and just like run around.
Fishing is earning food because you're working to
Okay,
get.
look, I'm okay with okay, then if we can pick the labor, I'm okay with like gardening and fishing. I'm okay with hunting
Adam called
boar.
it. Adam said it. I didn't say it. Adam said it.
What, she got a hubby?
Yeah.
Yeah, look. What I do is I go, gee, honey, you know what would sound really good? A wild boar. And he goes, okay. And he gets the gun.
Yeah, you see, I feel fantastic when I earn things by doing what I love to do. Yeah.
Look, he feels fantastic when he earns stuff and then he brings it home and I go, yay.
The problem is when what you love to do, you have so much competition from the big guys, from the monopolies or the oligopolies or whatever, and you can't even get started, because it's like, oh, no one's going to come to me because the big guys are there. The big guys take all the business.
Well,
And
yeah, because you
if
need
they
a lot
don't,
of
if
money.
you're actually successful and you finally get it off the ground, then they'll just buy you out, 5 years down the line anyway.
Yeah, but if they buy you out, that means you have enough money now.
Oh yeah.
So you're okay.
Yeah,
What
but
I
that seems
found
to
that
be
they're
the
doing
goal now.
now is a lot of the mega corporation that owns all of the products and all the food and all the pharmaceuticals, all the everything. Now they're going around city to city and they're buying all like the plumbing, electricians, like the handyman type stuff, the contractors. They're trying to make a mega corporation of all these places owned by them. And when they own enough of them, then they can lower the rates,
It
right?
seems like there used to be, you had the Gilded Age, and then you had all this legislation to keep that from getting too carried away, and then somehow, gradually they found ways to get around all those laws, and now I feel like we need some more antitrust, vigilance or whatever. We need to
Yeah, I definitely think we need to get rid of.
keep the big from getting too big, like kind of keep them in check, at least keep them.
But what
Keep 'em
happens is they just split themselves up, but it's the same people. You know what I mean? Like the same board members. So if I have a company, I split it into 6 companies, give them different names, but the same board members are on all 6 companies.
What do you think about corporations? Do you think corporations are a good idea? Because it's a legal entity that isn't an actual person. You can't hurt a corporation technically because it's not a person. It's not a physical entity. It's just
Yeah.
it's
So
a
I don't like
non-person
that.
person. Sorry?
I don't like that. I you know, I don't like that. I think they should be insured and you should be able to sue them. And they should have appropriate insurance because like a lot of what we have, why it's so hard to have a small business is you need to be insured. So that takes a huge chunk. Like doctors, they don't make good money anymore. Like a doctor is living a lower to middle class lifestyle these days because insurance is so expensive. Unless you're in a hospital that handles that for you, but then the hospital owns you and you're their slave, their biatch, and they can make you do whatever hours and whatever they want you to do, right? They own you. But if you want to work for yourself, you get to get that by yourself. So either you're uninsured and everything you own that you work for is always at risk, or you pay the huge cost for the insurance and you have like a lower middle class life.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to make it so that if you're a single practitioner or you're a small business under 100 people, that you have some benefits that you can operate safely and you're not going to get sued out of existence. But then when you become a big corporation, you need to start getting the insurance and you need to start having by force to pay for that insurance so that if you sell someone a toxic product, you can pay them out. They can easily get compensated and you're paying all the time for it. So like you're going to be less likely it's going to be less worthwhile to you to poison people. That's the goal. You have to make it financially disincentivize
Yeah.
people to poison people for profit.
Yeah. Because if a person poisons a person, right,
They
they
go to
get
jail.
they go to jail, right? But if a corporation poisons a person,
They get a small fine, a slap on the wrist.
but even if it's a big fine, no single person who
Gets
who
punished.
made the call, who said, "Yeah, let's do it." They don't. I don't think. Well, I don't know. Maybe they get. Well, if it's bad enough, yeah, that's not true. But still, they get away with a lot more than an actual physical person would get away with. Do you see what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. So why don't we make it so like the whole board of directors are held liable and the CEO?
The rigged
Because
game
you
needs.
can't just make it the CEO because then they'll just pay someone who wouldn't have any money if they weren't the CEO and they'll be like, this sounds like a great deal. But what they don't realize is they're being paid so that they can be the fall guy. And I see that happening already. Like I know like you can't just blame one person in the company. you have to blame all the people who are profiting the most, which is the entire board members and the CEO, so that everyone at top is scared of being sued. If they're not scared, we'll always be the losers. The people will lose.
But the distribution of both the responsibility and punishment is the problem, I think, because you know, it's, oh, it wasn't my decision. I didn't make that call. It was the group that decided we should take that course of action. And then when they get penalties, when they have to pay fees or whatever, then that's also distributed. So that's the problem with it, you know?
Yeah. We just need to fix the corporate protections. Just take them away. For big corporations, obviously we need small businesses to have protections. But like, I feel like small businesses, if you do something, you can, they put like everybody in charge in jail. But I feel like when it's a huge mega corporation, they can pay the fines.
Yeah.
Also, you know, how much can they pay for representation? Small corporations can't afford expensive representation, long legal fees and stuff. They can't do that. So like, it's all rigged against the little people and in favor of the mega corp, which has massive diffusion of responsibility to like basically no responsibility.
Yeah.
There's got to be like, I wonder how they do it in other countries, because you see other countries don't put the amount of poisons into the food supply, into all the products that they get away with here. So there has to be some sort of deterrent that we don't know about that they're doing.
Well, I think it's the government, and it also comes from the culture. I think it's just in their culture to pay closer attention to what they're putting in their mouths. I think, you know, people,
I
particularly
don't
French
think
people,
so.
Italians, they really, I mean, you see that with like rich people in the States or middle class people in the States, but a lot of people, they're thinking about making ends meet. They can't afford to be choosy, and no one else is going to protect them from it, because it's all about turning a profit. The culture seems to be mainly driven by turning a profit, right? It's a very capitalist, hyper capitalist sort of focus, whereas in other parts of the world, they're like, well, yeah, it's good to make money, but do we want, is it really worth poisoning ourselves to do it? I mean, maybe we should have a limit. I think they have a more sort of moderate kind of balance. It's more balanced, you know, like being successful, making a lot of money, not necessarily at the expense of people's health, you know.
Mhm.
And it's in their culture to really be careful about what they're eating, and you see it in their laws. Their laws are different, you know. They're a bit more careful about GMOs and all that, you know, and chemicals, and they pay closer attention to that. I think the average citizen is better educated about that as well. They're more aware of how harmful these things are.
I
And
feel like we're pretty educated. The problem
yeah,
is you see tons of people go,
now,
I'm telling you, no, for decades,
you
I've been following this
for
before.
most people, though, the average person, I think, is only becoming aware of this now that it's too late. You know, like 30 or 40 years ago, I don't think the average person was thinking about all this stuff, you
I
know.
knew.
And that's when it was becoming a problem, because it was being done, you know, kind of like in a hidden way. They were getting away with it because nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew about it. It was like, oh, it's a banana. Banana's a banana. Banana's always been a banana. They weren't paying attention to how the banana had changed and how, you know, they're all sort of being genetically modified, and these new pesticides and all the things, all the way farming was changing. They weren't paying attention to that because they were just thinking about money. They were just thinking, oh, it's cheaper now. Oh, that's great. Oh,
Yeah.
it's been the same price. How they, I don't care. It's cheaper. They were just thinking very basically like money, food, money.
Well, I
And
remember
it's
it
also
was,
it's media too, because the media wasn't giving them that information. Because of course, I mean, who would that serve? You know, who would benefit from the media actually telling people, hey, this is poisoning you? Back then. Now, yeah, now it sells. Now, you know, it's clickbait. It gets people riled up. But back then, it was just like, yeah, nobody cares. They're just
well, I
looking.
remember we
Oh, they
had, let me talk. We had the 2020, remember 2020? They would do like investigative journalism, blah, 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 right? So they did a thing on plastic and the BPAs, the BPS, well, you know, all that stuff, right? And then there was a big uproar in society. So what the corporations did was they started paying off all of the television stations, right? So then you had these commercials, plastic for plastic. Imagine a commercial for plastic. Remember how weird that was? Why is there a commercial for plastic? Why is there a commercial for cotton? Because they started putting pesticides like crazy into the cotton and it was getting into our skin, making us sick. And then why are there you know, big oil commercials? Like that doesn't make any sense because they're paying them off so they won't do investigative journalism against them. So what happened was they only were able to publish and talk about the studies on 2020 about the BPA. So they got rid of the BPA and then they started using BPS, BP, whatever, all these other ones, which turned out to be even more toxic than the BPA. So they can put BPA free on every plastic, knowing that it's going to have even worse toxic chemicals. And we started getting more hormone disruptions, more cancers, more fertility, period problems, acne problems, weight gain. Plastic makes you obese. Yes. It clings into your fat cells and it produces hormones. It forces your body to produce a lot of these excess hormones, obesogens, estrogens, toxic estrogens, and it recirculates everything and it makes it hard to detox. So all of these plastics, all these pesticides, they're processed in like the liver and the kidney. So everybody in America, our liver and kidneys are effed. They're all, it doesn't matter how skinny you look. I don't care about your abs. You are screwed up. If you were in another country and you did the exact same habits, you would be 10 times healthier, 10 times happier, 10 times mentally clearer, right? But because we live here, we're constantly processing all of this filth and it's taxing on us. So to live in this country, they've already said, in order to live and process all of the crap that's already here, that if we made policies tomorrow and said it's not allowed, it's too late for us. But let's say they did, we would still need to be in a sauna for 30 minutes every other day just to be the same toxic load as somebody born before 98.
I was born before 98.
No. Born before 98, living before 98. I meant living before 98. A human being before 1998, right? So
That's
now,
yeah.
Yeah, we all used to be at one point. Well, us,
Before we became
not these
vampires.
youngins. Yes,
Before we became vampires.
Ugh.
But yeah, Smoking Spaceman made a good point. It wasn't just cheaper; they needed to produce enough for the population.
That's always the lie that they say. They're like, oh, it's always scaring, right? Remember I said about propaganda, they have to scare you first. If we don't do it, you'll all starve to death. Meanwhile, they're lining their pockets. They're making it easier on themselves. They're coating the food for the slaves with like plastics. It's cheap and easy, right? And it's like a waste product
Everything
from
is
something else.
corn-based. Everything became corn-based.
Yes, because as soon as you they were able to make GMO corn and soy. So that's got to be in everything because they can easily make that, and they're making hand over fist profit because they're forcing it. And then the seed thing, like if the seed flies to the other farmer, now they can sue that farmer.
Monsanto's?
Yes, exactly. And the thing that pisses me off more than anything is that all the liberals, because my whole thing, like I didn't care about like politics and all the other stuff. I cared about the food always. That was my number one priority. I don't want to be poisoned. I want healthy food, healthy environment, right? I'm not even saying like climate change or anything. No, I just want like the actual soil to be nutrient dense so that we get the nutrients in our food. Now, if we eat fruits and vegetables in this country, there's no nutrients in the soil. We only have whatever fertilizer, garbage, chemical they use to make the food have the appearance of looking like the food. But when you eat it, there's no freaking minerals. There's no nutrient because they're not in the soil anymore. So we're eating empty calories. And they don't even taste good. They don't even have the same. They have no vitamins, no minerals, and they have like most terrible flavor. So for grapes, they have to inject it with like sugar water, so it has a taste. And a lot of the fruits, they do that junk too. It's
Oh,
absolute insanity. Sugar water fruit, imagine. Yeah,
yeah.
and then, whatever. So we're in a toxic soup. Everybody needs to get in the sauna every other day, 20 to 30 minutes. Work your way up to 30. And
Just get in your car and don't turn the AC on for the first 10 minutes.
no.
In Miami. No, in Miami.
Yeah, but that's like a small percentage of the people can do that. Most people live in seasonal areas. Get a sauna. Get one of those portable infrared sauna bags that you get into when your head pops out, and just watch TV every day in your sauna.
I have no idea what bag you're talking about.
It's on Amazon, you
Sauna
guys.
bag.
Go find your sauna bags. Hold on. Let me
I'm
find
sure
one.
everyone in this program is going to go right after it's over. This live
Sauna.
stream.
Yeah, and they also have like sauna blankets you can get. Okay, so this is what you guys need.
I'm not going to get one, Kat, so don't waste your time on me.
I don't care about you. I'm thinking about other people. You guys need to get these saunas. It's not that bad.
Everyone get a sauna bag. Kat gets a commission.
No, I don't get a commission.
She gets a 20% cut.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at this. I'm gonna get what is this? Smoking patches, those nicotine patches, because I heard it gets rid of histamines. So pray for me that I don't become addicted. This is not an infrared sauna. Those are cheaper. So you can go look at those. Anyways, so the nicotine patches. I have mast cell activation syndrome. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
It's histamine intolerance. So it's like living in Florida, being exposed to mold. Some people genetically cannot detox mold. So they got a lot of random symptoms. I have a different one. It's an infrared sauna. So it's better your head pops out. Huh?
Said be careful with those, Kat.
Yeah, saunas. You have to have someone around you just in case you pass out. Especially if you're new to them, you can pass out more easily. So be careful, but definitely do it. And I used to pass out in the beginning because I was very heat intolerant, because I was very full of like toxin, because I hadn't been using sauna my whole life. So yeah, I'm serious. I used to pass out like that. I would just drop, and Stephen would be like, "What is wrong with you? Why are you like passing out this much?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's just I had to get a lot of stuff out." Okay, so the nicotine patches, there are some studies and some anecdotal whatever research or whatever that say some doctors are saying that it blocks receptor cells, or it helps flush out histamine. So I have high histamines. Histamines are like, your allergic reactions. Like you get the hives, you get itching, you get migraines, you can get digestive issues if the histamines are in your gut, whatever. So I get all of those things when I'm exposed to histamine. So high histamine foods in an area that has a lot of allergens, like mold. But oh my God, so many people's homes, I can't go in without breaking into hives because they have fragrances. Histamine intolerance makes you very sensitive to fragrances, cleaning products, chemicals, skincare products, certain things, certain foods. You can't have leftovers, because when you leave something out and reheat it up, it gets higher in histamines, which is a normal thing. But it'll increase the histamines and give you a response. Do you know who Michaela Peterson is?
No.
Jordan Peterson?
George Peterson, maybe.
So there's this guy, Jordan Peterson. He's a psychologist dude, and his daughter got famous for having a meat-only carnivore diet because she had such autoimmune responses to everything that it got to the point where the inflammation was so bad she had to get like joint replacement, knee, hip, ankle replacement surgeries and stuff like that, because it got so inflamed all over her body.
Damn.
Right? So then she went to eating just meat. And it had to be fresh meat. It couldn't be, again, she figured out the hard way, aged meat's bad. What's it called? Jerky is bad because it's aged. Dehydrated stuff is bad, and whatever. So it had to be fresh, flash frozen, like cut off the animal and flash frozen and then shipped. She couldn't go to the stuff in the grocery stores because it was like out in the butcher place. It wasn't frozen. So she orders it from whatever. And then after doing this diet, which she figured out herself, she's been able to maintain herself. She hasn't fixed the histamines, but she's been able to maintain her life and stop the inflammation from progressing. So now she no longer has like joint inflammation, skin issues, migraines, gut issues, acne, hives, eczema, rosacea, hair loss, like all these things that were happening. Of course, bloating, inflammation. So anyway, so now I have a similar thing. It's not quite as bad as her, but it's pretty bad. Like she can literally only eat like 1 or 2 types of meat from like a certain place, or she gets all of these symptoms back. So I'm at the point where I can have a few things, but there's a few times a month where like if I eat the wrong thing, boom, we have a problem. And the nicotine patches, they're supposedly to like block the receptors. So some people online have said that they started taking them, like cutting them up. So you get like the 21 gram and you cut it into 8 pieces. So like 121 milligram little patch, you cut it into 8 pieces and you put it on 1 a day. And they find that it's blocking the histamine response. So now they're able to, after like 3-4 months, then they can start tapering it off and like doing less and less and less until they don't need nicotine patches. And that's a long enough time suppressing the histamines that the histamine cascade of creating, it does estrogen to histamines, and then they kind of like make each other like go more and more and more, right? So it stops that cascade, and then you can like get off it, and then you'll be normal. That's the theory. A lot of people are saying that they found like now they can eat food again. And now they can like be around occasionally mold, or occasionally somebody has too much cologne on and they don't start throwing up.
But couldn't fasting do that? Like if you fast, if you fast enough,
I've tried.
Stuff.
I've tried.
How long have you tried?
I've done 7 days.
Wow.
And it was not enough. I did feel good during those 7 days because, of course, other than like, because remember, I still had to clean. And if I have to touch cleaning products.
Yeah. Back to living where you're supposed to. We're biologically adapted to live in a certain environment, and deviation from these adaptations leads to the environmental problems people experience. So where should we be living?
Okay. I've researched this. The reason why Florida is so big with histamine issues, and a lot of the country now, I think it was like 70% of homes in America have mold, and the people who are living in those, there's like 20% that have the genetic inability to process these out very well. So it's recirculating and it builds up over the years until they have full-blown histamine intolerance, which can then progress to mast cell activation syndrome, where it's like you're always like this. So what they do is with, the initiatives they want to make things, what's it called? Energy efficient.
Yeah.
Right. So in order to make an energy efficient home, they insulate it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
The more insulation, the more
you're preaching to the fire. I know.
Why?
And you get because in some situations you get the worst of both worlds because it's all sealed off hermetically, right? The structure doesn't breathe, and then you don't have enough insulation in the walls, so it's cold. And if it's cold outside, it's cold inside. If it's hot, no insulation, and so you get condensation on the walls, and the condensation is great, especially if it's warm enough for the mold. Warm moisture is perfect for mold, and they love that, and then they start growing.
Yeah,
it's growing everywhere.
And a lot of people don't realize it, but
places like that.
Yeah, but you don't see mold always. It's not like this black stuff.
I know. Yeah, I
But a
know.
lot of people don't know it could be in the dust, it could be gray, it could be the pink stuff, whatever. It could be other colors. It could just it's in the air. It's even when you go outside in these areas. So what happens is when they make it like very sealed off, there's no airflow, so it can't dry out quickly. That's one problem. The other thing is we're supposed to, especially in tropical climates like we are in South Florida, we're supposed to be elevated off the ground. There needs to be like wind going under the buildings. But because we have hurricanes, they had to make additional regulations for hurricane safe structures. So that means we have to be on the ground. And now we're screwed because we can't be elevated. So everything is like this is what happens with overregulation. They're trying to do one good thing here, and then 10 bad things happen, unintended consequences down the line. There's really nothing you can do. The best thing is I own this property. I'm going to build whatever the hell I want. Let me figure it out. And
what do you think? What do you think about? It's not exactly live in some other country, but global attitude. Sorry, no, before that, back to living where you're supposed to, or biologically adapted to, and then it depends on your genetic makeup and family origins.
yes, your genetics, based on how your genetic line, what they had to deal with, what toxins were in their environment is what they were genetically evolved to deal with. So then when people start moving to different countries, different areas, they're not equipped to deal with whatever's in that area. So we have problems. There's people that like their soils are like toxic with arsenic, right? But since they evolved on that land, they're able to eat high quantities of arsenic and be totally fine. Whereas somebody who's like a traveler to that place would eat that and get sick. So we have to understand, like, some people are just evolved to live in their poison.
Yeah.
And the globalization is a problem because we're moving around too much and it's making us sicker. The other thing is different skin tones are meant for different latitudes. When you start moving out of those, your skin is equipped to get the amount of vitamin D from that latitude only. So now you're in a bad situation. So like poor Stephen, he can't go outside because he'll die from the sun. Whereas if he was up north, he could live a normal life. Yeah, and elevations too. Some people are adapted to higher elevations. Other people are not. They get heart problems. They get palpitations, oxygen problems, whatever. It's a big mess. So it is what it is. That's the genetic component of it. But there's also we're being poisoned. There's also nobody should live in mold. And I think in the Bible it says if you even see, you got to burn the whole house down. Like, don't see, you don't cut out the section and then go back in the home. You burn the house down because they know. Because the mold spores will be everywhere. They'll be invisible. You can't get it out. The other thing is in other countries, they actually have, you know, like in your car, you have the button where the air flow from the outside comes in. We don't have that in a house. Our air conditionings don't have that. Other countries have it. So they can press a button. Huh?
Windows. Yeah, don't you have windows?
Yes. But they have like actual systems that will like stop the condensation. For example, if it's humid outside, you can't open your windows. But if you have one of these systems, it'll take the air, take the humidity out, but take the fresh air and circulate it through the house, because we'll also get inside the house VOC buildup. So the VOC buildup is from like, you know, the Formica furniture with all the toxic glues, putting it together. It's not even solid wood anymore, or the varnishes that are toxic, the paint on the walls that is forever off-gassing. Not my paint because I use good quality paint, but you know, most people's paint. Or like the fabrics that are plastic that are constantly off-gassing, like people's curtains are usually have polyester or whatever. So if we just lived more naturally and had the circulating air, we can get the VOCs out. I have like this little machine thing.
But we're also
what?
But I mean, I think you may be underestimating our ability to adapt to our surroundings as well. Like people
Not everybody adapt. The place that I just mentioned about the arsenic, a lot of people got killed off. It was the people who survived who had the adaptation. You might be one of like the percentage that gets killed
Survival of
off.
the fittest, you know, natural selection.
I mean, I guess that's what's happening right now.
What's happening?
A lot of us are dying off because of the environment is too toxic and we didn't adapt. Our genetics were not fit enough for this environment, so we're being
well,
eliminated.
we're doing pretty well because, like, look at population growth for our lifetime. Like when I was, I think early '80s, what was
Population is about to collapse, though.
If you say so.
Are
Let's
you
look at population,
serious?
and I think that's a huge. Well, I don't know if we can call it a problem, but it's a big thing. It affects so many things. And it's one thing that nobody really likes to talk about. But population growth. Let's see. World population, it's 8 billion. Is that right? 8 billion? 8.2 billion? And what was it in the early 80s?
I don't care. Population tipping point will be 2030, and then it will start going down.
Here, 19. All right, it was like, what, half of that? It was like half that. Half what it is now. Or maybe a little more than half. Like 40 years ago. Let's say it was 50, right? Or sorry, 5. Let's say it was like 5 billion. Oh, hold on, I found it. 1985. Or let's say 1980. 1980 was 4.4, right? 4.45 billion. And now it's like 8.2 billion. So we're doing pretty well, you know, at surviving.
The problem is people don't want to
And
have
life
kids.
expectancy keeps going up too. So I mean, we're doing
It
all right.
stopped going up.
You make it
a
sound
lot.
like it's the end of days and like people are dying off left and right. Oh God, it's population is like twice what it was when I was born, nearly twice. And
Okay,
life
but they're saying
expectancy
2030
has
it will reach its
years.
peak and then decline. 30 years
I don't know if
after
you-
2030, it's going to
technology, I
be
don't think
a
we've adapted that
fraction.
fast. No, we haven't adapted that fast, but we've been able to sort of solve the problem through technology. But that's the story of like civilization. Like look at the cold places where people have lived for hundreds or thousands of years. We can't survive there naked. Nobody can survive in Northern Ireland naked. Nobody. You know, in the winter, if you're human, you die out in the cold, right? In Northern Ireland, let's say. Or I don't know, like Sweden. Let's say Sweden.
Do you know there was people that were living in like Siberia and stuff?
Yeah, because they use technology to make it work. You know, without figuring out how to start a fire or how to clothe yourself, you couldn't survive. Because you know we don't have fur. We're not polar bears. So you know we're underestimating our ability to adapt and to figure it out. To use our mind to account for or to make up for what's missing. You know, in our natural genetic makeup or whatever. I don't see it as a problem necessarily. It's just a fact of life. You know, the environment isn't always going to be your friend. Sometimes it's gonna be like, hey, fuck you. Why are you on this world, like on this planet? We don't want you here. And that's why we have natural selection, and that's why some species die off and become extinct. And you know, the world is not
Shame.
necessarily a friendly place. It's not necessarily trying to
The
shelter.
world is a vampire.
Yeah, the world is a vampire, playing God and bending
to
to our will.
drain secret destroyers.
But it's part. I mean, isn't it? Couldn't you argue that it's in our nature to be nomadic, and that's why we populated the entire globe because we just kept on moving? That was human nature. You could argue it wasn't in our obviously it wasn't in our nature to stay put, or not everyone's nature to stay put. But you said we adapt, but outside tech isn't the biological adaptations. No. I was saying both. We do both. You know, we do both. We can do both. You know, so we don't necessarily have to live only where our ancestors lived, especially because I know a lot of people whose ancestors already lived in a place that was hostile to them just because they're human, and it's not a place made for humans. You know, like half of the globe is not made for human life. If you can be there naked and not die all year round, then yeah, people were supposed to live there. How many places like that exist? Like who?
None.
That takes all of Northern Europe off the list. I mean, automatically, all of most of
So
North
like
America.
Mediterranean, maybe.
Yeah, so we would all just be crowded around the equator, or like just north. There would be a band around the equator, and that's where everyone would live, right? Because that's the only place where every human being could just be naked and hang out all year round and be okay. It was the mold's fault pushing nomadic diaspora. Is that true? Kat,
What are you guys talking about?
that one's for you, Kat.
Huh?
That's for you, Kat. That one's for you. You brought up mold. You're the mold person. You're the mold specialist.
My God, you guys are crazy. Let's see. I want to get a sauna. Like a real
today, you want to actually? Oh, you want to buy a sauna?
Yeah. So I found them online for $1,200.
This is the worst time. The economy's doing. It's just terrible. Times are tough. I think I want to buy a sauna. Am I the
Well,
only
I
one
gotta
who sees it?
detox the mold, bruh.
It's kind of.
We gotta detox. Okay, look.
kind
I'm
of
trying to
silly.
convince Steven that I need a sauna, but also that he needs to remove all the junk storage crap from the garage so I can put the sauna in there, plug it in.
I'm sure everyone finds this terribly interesting.
I tried joining a gym, but they always close the sauna down, which is ridiculous.
After you've used it?
Shut up, you little, I swear. So also, I get fungal infections very easily probably because I've been exposed to mold my whole life. So every time I go to the gym, I get like fungus everywhere, and then I have to put on these chemicals on and lay out in the sun until it dies. I'm not going to a public gym again. I cannot go. Yes, I'm working on it.
Freaking tits out.
Shut up. So I'm gonna get this great. I think I should just like start.
Swinging the
You know how
beats.
women get stuff clean, right?
I don't.
You just have an accident, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, all your stuff fell on the floor and we spilled buckets of water.
Free Steve in 2025. That's a
So,
cause we
girl,
all get behind.
Dude, he's got so much stuff. The mold will not grow in my sauna. How dare you push that? Yeah, I'm gonna put it outside.
I think I gotta go. Sorry.
Alrighty. Yeah, we've given enough time.
Had a session, quite a session. I hope you all found it entertaining.
I hope you were all entertained, and we'll try to get Nick to come hang out with us again. But he's been too cool lately.
Nice to have someone else on the show.
Well, you got to do it at night because nobody's awake at this time.
All right. Well, one of these days.
One of these days, brah.
Take care. See you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Like, subscribe. Be cool. Tell Teriyaki he sucks.
Teriyaki? What?
You don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
They like you. So please come hang out again.
All right.
Bye, guys. They like you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mostly it's like, how dare you bring this person on?
This guy's a schmuck.
Who's this fool?
All right. Good night.
All right.
Good night, Kat. See ya.
Night, guys. Watch out for more.
Start the revolution, let the truth begin. Wake up, defeating lies. Control the media's got you hypnotized. Trust authority, they'll take your soul. Break the chains, find your own control. Wake up.